Is it recording?
Not yet.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, it is recording. Okay.
Awesome.
Um, is this what you use? Reading notes as requesting to
No,
record
I
this
don't
meeting.
usually do that. That's fine. You can just decline that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Radio chat. It says recording. So that should be.
Okay.
You're not muted, so they
All
can hear
right.
us.
So everybody that is joining us remotely today, hello, it's Mindy. And we've got a bunch of folks here with us in person, and thank you for joining us remotely as well. You may or may not be able to see me in the room from time to time. I might move around a little bit, but hopefully you can hear me. Can you give me a thumbs up or let me know? Are you hearing me? Should have asked that right
You
away.
got thumbs ups.
Awesome. That's great. All right, so we'll get started shortly. And we are recording the meeting today as well. If anybody has to go, we're going to share the recording afterward. So welcome. I think more years than not when I've done this, I've had a cold. Like it's something about this time of year. I like have a cold every time. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our annual fall meeting, right? We always get to see each other around this time of year when it gets a little chilly. And we might have some more people joining us, not sure. Is do we think Jessica still is joining us? Do think so. If she's not in person, she'll be on. Okay, no worries. That's good. Okay. So I'm gonna do sorry for those of you that are remote today. I know you probably can't see faces here, but I am going to do some quick like around the room introduction so the folks that are here in person kind of get to know who's here and who they are. So Debbie, if you don't mind, starting with you, if you could just tell us like who you are, where you're from, that'd be great.
I am Deb McCurdy and with East Manchester Township.
Okay. And
I'm Michelle Lutz and I am Lower Windsor Township.
hi.
I am Amber Pullman and I am in Dover Township.
And Janet Heindel on DEP. Seth Harlan, City of York.
AJ Grimm, Hanover Borough.
Lori Musselman, Hanover Borough.
Kelsey Smith, Mulligan Township.
Evelyn Dyer, Phoebe.
Erin Dell, Penn Waste.
Mike Ekman, Goods Disposal.
Nora Smith, Goods Disposal.
Jimmy Smith, Casal.
And Andy Lawrence with Republic Services.
All right, great. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate everybody's participation today. So I'm going to grab my slide advance. Here we go. Okay, this is Jess. So Jess is, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce her. This is Jessica Williams, and she is our South Central Regional Recycling Coordinator. She's on the newer end of the scale with us, and welcome and thanks for being here.
Sorry, it's typical of me to get lost, but.
Yeah, I know. This is a tricky, yeah, like sometimes your GPS will just be like, you're here, and you're like, there's nothing here. I don't know, because our footprint is pretty big, so sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, so I just did introductions for those of you in the room. We have a lot of guests today. In addition to our municipal folks, we have a lot of resources here for you all to meet and ask questions of, and they will share lots of information. On our agenda, I'm going to go over the annual municipal recycling report first. We're going to do some get some information from the DEP. And then we'll have our waste and recycling hauler roundtable, just go over some things, best practices, and ask questions of them. And then we might have some time for some more resources that I can remind you of from the authority. So for our annual municipal recycling report, a lot of you here in the room, I think have done this report before, but it's a once a year thing. This is a great time for a refresher. There's a lot of different moving parts involved. And so this is just an opportunity for us to go over the different forms and procedures involved. So why do we do this report? Well, it was written into legislation by the PA Act 101 Municipal Waste Planning, Recycling and Reduction Act, and it set waste reduction and recycling goals for Pennsylvania many years ago. So we're still doing this report. It is mandatory, required by PA state law, and we are all part of it. So it requires the DEP to maintain a database on recycling and waste reduction. And they do a great job of keeping all that data there for us to refer to. It'll show on their website, and you know, whenever we have questions about that data, we have folks that we can get in touch with and ask questions about. So you and I work together, municipal folks and county folks and DEP folks and haulers, we all work together to make this report happen. From where should our municipalities gather their data? Where they're getting the information from? This is always, we're talking about the prior calendar year. So we're still in the year of 2025 that we're talking about the data for right now. So this report will be happening right in the beginning of 2026. So there are forms. We give them these fancy names, FM11, FM12, FM13, that we provide to you sort of in a template form for you to use to gather information from different sources in your municipality. So your FM12 is the hauler or transporter recycling report form that you're going to send out to all the haulers that might be hauling any recycling in your community, not just the one that you may be contracting with, because they will have residential data for us, you know, right? If you have a contract with them, but there are many haulers out there that could be hauling for your businesses. Most of you your municipalities don't have it written into their contract that all of their businesses are going to use the same hauler as their residential services. So we have Republic and Casella and you know, Penn Waste, and we have Goods. So we have different folks that we're going to request data from. And
Which, by the way, is probably different now than it has been, because some of these are new players in town who you may have not sent it to Casella before because they had no commercial presence in here. So
yes,
it's
yeah.
good you're all here to see these new faces. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Andy. And as you're saying that, I'm realizing I don't have the contacts yet for gathering data from some of the newer companies. So when we get to that slide, there'll be some information missing, but I will be following up after this meeting with information for everybody about this report and contacts for where, you know, how to send those forms out and to whom. Okay, so on that hauler recycling report form, there's like, I know this is tiny, but you're gonna get copies of these forms. So there is a instruction part of it, and then it's like a 2-pager with all the different materials that they might have hauled from your municipality. Again, you don't have to use the form in the format in which I send it to you. I actually have made my own changes to the form over the years, you know, but some things that I prefer to see. But you make it your own. You know, if there are things that you don't even like this form, you want to create your own, as long as you contain all of the information in your form that we're asking for, where it was hauled from, what type of material, how much, make sure that the proper dates and information questions are on there, it's fine. Okay. So we're sending, again, I said send it to all of the haulers in your area. So this is the page that I was talking about that does not contain all of the information. So I'll be getting with Jimmy and Mike and Norris and finding out like who I can add to this as well, because we do have other folks that are hauling besides these 3 in our area. So another form is our FM11 form. So this kind of fills in the gaps of maybe the materials that aren't being hauled by these major haulers. So maybe you have some businesses. I know Deb has a lot of large businesses in her municipality in East Manchester. So some of those folks are hauling their own materials. They're marketing their own materials. So you want to make sure that you send to all of your businesses small or large, this form. And if they are hauling their own materials, they're gonna give you the information of where that material is being taken or who they hired to take it somewhere, okay? So you can cross-reference then, even with your smaller haulers, say you have, you know, Smith's Deli or whatever, that has their contract with Andy. So when we contact Republic Services, we want to make sure that if Smith's Deli said that they are having their recycling hauled by Republic Services, that they are on that report, right? And we're getting the right information, that they didn't make mistake and it's really some other company, and or that the material wasn't missed on the Republic report. It's very important to cross-reference because it's easy to double count materials. We want to be as accurate as possible. And so if we count Smith's Deli and, you know, they had 20 tons of recycling, we're counting on our Republic report as well. We're double counting, you know, like it's already been given to us by the hauler and we're counting it from the business as well. So, you know, it's kind of checks and balances with a lot of these forms. And you'll find as you go along, like you'll be able to find where the little hiccups are, or where, you know, where things are that just don't seem right. And that you need to do a little bit more research. And I can always help with that. If you get a form back from business that say, well, I don't have enough information here, or this doesn't make sense, please reach out to me. I can help you with your communications and maybe help clear up some of the confusion. Okay? How are we still doing well?
Still
Terry?
doing well. Do you want me to check in on copy?
Yeah,
Good to go.
no questions
Mm-mm.
from? Okay, very good. All right, so as I said, you're gonna send the FM11 to all of your businesses, but also institutions. So you know, you might not think of your local nonprofit or whatever, or, you know, doctor's office. They're all included when we talk about businesses. So government institutions and churches and different places like that will all get this form. You can also send, like I just said, to volunteer groups. There might be still some volunteer groups that are collecting recycling in your municipalities, and if there are, please send it to them as well. Yeah, and please note, as I said, if those companies did not transport their own recyclables, there is an area on their form that says you don't have to put weights on this form. All you have to tell me is who your hauler is. Come on in. Sorry, no, have a seat. You're good. So don't be confused by receiving a form back, an FM11 that just says Casella, Republic Services, whatever, because they're just telling you who their hauler is and they're asking you to cross-reference and find their tonnages on that form. If you go to the hauler form and they're not there, that's where you want to do a little research and figure out, okay, well, why aren't they on that hauler report? Or, you know, did they have the wrong hauler to begin with, that sort of thing. So if you have any questions, as these forms are coming back to you, reach out to me. I'm always happy to put on the Nancy Drew hat and, you know, try to figure out the mysteries that come out of the recycling report forms. Okay, we want to make sure that we emphasize to folks that we are looking for post-consumer materials only. So when you have large businesses like Deb has, you have businesses that might have materials that have scraps and overruns, or maybe they, you know, printed a bunch of bottles with the wrong information. They're going to put them back into the recycling system. But those bottles were never actually filled with dish soap and put on, you know, the shelves and then taken by a consumer and used to put the recycling bin. Those are pre-consumer type materials if they're being, you know, not reaching a store shelf and not reaching a consumer and being put in and called recycling. They're being recycled and we're happy that they're doing that. But it's not countable unless it's something that was actually part of a consumer system, okay? So that is all on these forms. It's in the instructions. Hopefully people read that. But if you're suspicious that the business may have reported like thousands of tons of something that like just doesn't seem like it would be a post-consumer thing, then again, you can ask me, ask them. and we'll try to figure it out together. Okay, from your processors. So you're going to have businesses in your municipalities like metal scrap yards, like places that do process materials, like, you know, we've taken a bunch of, you know, paper to a paper recycler who's going to process it and turn it into new things. We want to make sure from the processors that we're only counting, as much as we hate to say it, but only counting what was produced in their offices, recycled in their offices, unless they can declare to you where these materials came from. So materials for large processors can come from outside of your municipality, outside of your county, outside of your state. They may be being claimed on other recycling reports and again, double counted. So unless we can trace where those materials are coming from, and really then do the checks and balances and make sure that that business ABC didn't take the materials there and we counted that and then we counted it at the processor as well. I want you to try to avoid counting materials from processors unless they can give you more detailed information. And that's a tough one because sometimes their tonnages are really great. But we want to, you know, we just want to make sure again that we're accurate and fair. Okay, so there's also an FM 13. In our county, I find that we don't use this a whole lot, and there's a couple of reasons why. So we want you municipalities to get as much credit for the recycling as possible. You're the ones that are going to be doing the 904 grant and potentially receiving funds for the recycling that's being done in your county. So if there's a way for us to figure out if that recycling is in a specific municipality, we're gonna do it. Unfortunately, there are gonna be materials that can only be attributed by zip code or by county. So when that happens, say you have a paper shredder that doesn't track what municipalities they're going to and doing their shredding, only zip codes. Well, zip codes cross over municipal boundaries. So in those cases, we want to capture that recycling data for the state, for our county, but we can only really report it on this form, which doesn't break it down into a municipality. Okay, so if you have a case where something is being reported that can't necessarily be attributed to your municipality, get me involved and we can use the FM 13 if it's appropriate. Okay. All right. And I just kind of went over all of that. All right. Everything that gets reported to us, well, first of all, everything may be reported to us, and everything from pounds to number of pallets to, you know, like yards, cubic yards. It could be all kinds of different formats that we receive the data in. What we want to report it in is all in tons. So the math that we have to go through sometimes for this great report. If it gets too much, please reach out to me. I'm certainly not a math expert, but I've been doing this long enough that I can help you convert. I will give you a conversion chart as well, but if it is just not making sense, please reach out to me and I will certainly help with conversions. A lot of times with yard waste, it gets tricky with doing those cubic yards into tons or, you know, whatever it may be, but we'll get it all cleared up. So by the time that you gather all that information from your businesses and your haulers, you're going to be converting it into tons or then sending it to me. Okay, so your FM 11, your FM 12, FM 13s are all due to you by February 1st. You want to give your businesses, haulers, organizations plenty of time to gather this data for you so that it's accurate and it's complete. So I recommend starting to send this out before even the end of the year has occurred. So start sending out all of these forms, your letters, your instructions in December. Within probably a week of this meeting, I will be sending to you all of the forms and maybe even in a couple of days, you know, everything, the information that you can use, your tools that you can use, make it your own, do whatever tweaks you need to do with it, and send it out in December. So you're giving everybody plenty of time. Yes,
A comment on that, because Kathy does ours,
yes.
and people will send her the report, and within a day or two, they're like, hey, can you get this back to me? She's gonna take the whole month, because she's not just doing it for York County
Yeah.
municipality, she's doing it for Cumberland and Dauphin and Lancaster, so you can imagine what it is for you all to do your reports, she's kind of doing it for every municipality, so
Yes.
have patience, but it'll definitely be to you before February first, but that's why it doesn't get returned the very next day.
Thank you for saying that, Andy. Yes, and I think that's completely fair. And we have some businesses that are large and they are gonna have a lot of data that they need to gather. So give them time, give them a fair amount of time, and try not to sweat it if it's getting toward the end of January and you did get your information. So yeah. Then there's some additional data that's gonna come to you for your municipality through me. It's gonna filter down from the Professional Recyclers of Pennsylvania Data Management Committee. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about PROP later, but it's a professional group for recyclers in Pennsylvania. It could be county people, municipal people, professional people like hauling companies. And we work together for different purposes, but one for our report is this statewide gathering of data network. So you may have in some of your municipalities a Walmart, a giant food stores, a First National Bank. There's many of like 40 different stores on this list that you will want their data. They're big stores. They're going to have a lot of recycling numbers that you can count towards your 904 grant. But years ago, before we had this network, you may sit there waiting until summertime to get their information because they're so big and there's so many stores, could be hundreds or even thousands of stores in if we're talking about Dollar General, it probably is in the thousands in the state of Pennsylvania. So what we have done for PROP is contacted all of these corporations and asked them to send one report for the state of Pennsylvania. That includes every single store and all of their information. It still might take a little while to get. We still may not have it in February. And sometimes we do have to squeak those deadlines a little bit further out. But we found that it's a lot more successful than 500 people from 500 different municipalities contacting that corporation with different forms to ask for the data. So, if you have one of the stores that will be listed on a little Word document, okay, that I send out again with all of the forms for this whole report. So hold tight, don't send them a request for data because sometimes they get upset if they receive more than one request. So hold tight and wait for the data to come from me through this PROP network. And most of you, I think in the room are familiar with that, but it can be confusing if it's your first time doing all this, because you're doing the legwork for most of it. For this one, you can just sit back and wait for the data to come to you. Okay, so again, I will send you a list of the companies that are going to participate. And when we start rolling in January, usually by, like mid to late January, you're starting to get some of those reports. Some of them you may not get until later in the process, but you will not be penalized for submitting your report late to me because you're waiting for statewide data. I don't want you to try to finalize your report and send to me what you have, and then we have to go back and forth 4 more times because we're still waiting for more data. If you want to check in with me because you're feeling nervous, like maybe I missed a report, that's fine. But don't feel like you have to send your report to me by the deadline if you know that you still are waiting on me. Okay? All right, so this is what, again, in a very small form, my form looks like, that you are going to compile all of this information that you've gathered and put into nice little spreadsheets and calculated everything into tons. This is what the form looks like that you're going to then fill out to send to me. Okay? And it has one page that is strictly questions. I'm so nosy. I want to know everything about your municipality. But I can give you a good example of why this is important. AJ, didn't we just have like a really, really sad and sort of devastating fire at one of our yard use facilities that's not far from you, right? Gloria lives there. So, what used to be H&H, which is now Old Castle, had, a really, really bad, very long drawn out fire at their mulching facility. And lots and lots of you municipalities have your materials going there, whether you're hauling it directly or your haulers are taking it there. So automatically, because of all of my nosy questions on this, I was able to figure out who deals with Old Castle and reach out to them right away and try to help. I helped as much as I could. I tried to send them resources, different places that might take their materials. We were reaching out to different places in the county. So there are reasons why I asked all of the questions. If you can't answer them all, that's okay. But I'm gonna want to know, do you have a recycling ordinance? Do you have curbside and drop off? And what do you take curbside and drop off? And where are your materials going to be processed, especially in yard waste, because that is important for me when tracking some of the data that we need for our annual report. Okay. So when I ask about a mandatory recycling ordinance, now there are some of you in this room, and I'm sure remote, that are mandated by Act 101 by your population density to recycle. But when I ask about a recycling ordinance, if you're mandated by the state, you already have this. I'm sure you have it in place. But there are lots of non-mandated municipalities that I would like to know whether you have a mandatory recycling ordinance, not just an ordinance that says a couple things about recycling, that mentions recycling, but that says everybody has to do it. That is important for some of the information that I track. So just when you're looking at that question, that's what I mean. Pay as you throw. This is not as common as it used to be, but this is some of the information that the DEP would like to know. Are we still using a pay as you throw system? So that means that you are having prepaid bags, either through your contract. People can sign up for prepaid bags and are sent a certain amount, or they can come to the municipal office or the hauler and get prepaid bags for their waste, which in turn is hopefully encouraging them to recycle more. It does not mean that they have a certain size toter. It doesn't mean that they have a limit of 4 bags per week. So it's confusing, but that pay as you throw is specific to these sort of like bag and tag programs. So you're going to compile all the data from all of the sources that you gathered it from. And you're going to add all of the tonnage totals to the report. So that first page is all the nosy questions. The next 3 pages is all about your data and all the different types of materials that you have had recycled in your community. Okay, and then there will be grand totals in different categories, and you will total everything up for me.
That looks like a picture from the 80s.
Does it?
Separate bin for everything.
Really?
Yeah.
AJ, that's what looks like what's going on in Hanover, right? Yeah. All right. So some important due dates to remember. If you are not receiving that statewide data that I had talked about, or if you have received all of your statewide data by February 8th, about a week before, then your report is due to me by February 15th. That's what I would expect to receive it. Okay. If again, you have not received all of your statewide data, then you can hold off, and whenever you receive that last report from that last statewide store, about a week later is when I'm gonna be, knocking at your door through email and saying, you have your report ready for that. Yeah, so again, you will not be penalized for not turning in your report by February 15th if you're still waiting on statewide data. Okay, additional documentation. Because of the mysteries that happen in recycling reporting, sometimes we need additional documentation. It is not required. And yeah, I struggle with this. I would love to know all the little details of what's going on behind the scenes with your recycling, but I probably wouldn't be able to get to it all. But I do thank you for providing me with additional documentation, especially when we have some of these reference mysteries. It's very helpful. Feel free, if you want to send me additional documentation, just please, just try to send it by email electronically, so we're not, killing a lot of trees in the name of recycling reporting. And don't hesitate to ask for help. That's what I'm here for. I want all of our data to be very accurate. And I will be asking questions, I'm sure, and double checking things and, but at any time that you have questions, just, Okay. So what are your questions now? Anything? And anything from our remote folks? I'm sorry, I haven't been able to interact with you as much, but if you have questions, you can unmute or you can put it in the chat. I'm gonna grab a quick drink of water.
Mindy, I have a question about you mentioned the shredding truck with the FM13, because we hadn't thought about that before. Our local state rep runs a shredding event every year, and they do report the tonnage, but we don't report that tonnage, so do you have to fill that FM13 out, or if they report it directly as, here's what we collected that day, shredded, is that all we need?
That's a great question. I would say if you're holding a specific event, even though, somebody from the municipality over might be coming to Hanover to do the event. I would say if it's your event that you're holding, you should take those tons. They should be able to attribute those to you and say, we collected them here in Hanover at this address. It's more so, some of the shredders maybe collect from different businesses and whatnot, and they just will only report by zip code
Yeah.
what they've collected. So. Yeah.
Still
No
nothing.
questions?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, I'm sure if you think of questions later, I'll be available and you can ask them of me, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm gonna turn it over now to our friends from the DEP. I have grants up here, but they might have other things to share with us, I don't know, and thank you all for being here, whoever wants to start first.
I'll get it out. I'll get my side out of the way.
Okay, great. Jessica.
I've mostly got resources to share with everyone, especially new coordinators who haven't really looked into the DEP recycling type stuff that we have available. One of the most important programs that I will always log everybody is the Recycling Technical Assistance Program. What it is, it's up to $7,500 in consulting fees through DEP's contracted engineer, which is currently SES Engineers. And it will help you evaluate recycling programs. If you ever want to look at the page and see what other municipalities have done, you can go to the recycling technical assistance page, because they're two different things. There will be a lot of completed projects, almost all of them are posted on the website. We'll see. It's anything from evaluating siting for a compost facility to noise and pollution reduction for a compost facility, or evaluating curbside product or curbside recycling programs, or even down to end product removal or finding markets for them. If you ever have a question about that, please feel free to reach out to me. My information is on the DEP website. If you need it directly from me, feel free to reach out. That's a good meeting, and I'll give you my information. Mindy's also got it. It's
Yes.
floating around there, all sorts of places. They don't be on, so sorry about that.
Yeah, in general, anytime that you need to get in touch with the DEP and you're not sure who to reach out to,
Reach out to me.
just reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with the right person. Yeah.
And if I don't have the answers to your questions, I certainly know who does. So I think that, this program is administered by John Manson's central office, but I know enough about it to kind of get you started. One of the other resources for a lot of issues that I've heard coming up lately about trying to get rid of and their recycling end products is there's a lack of markets currently. And they're very competitive, but if you aren't already aware of it, there is a recycling center in Pennsylvania, run by Bob Boylan. Sorry, Bob Boylan. I mean that. And they're extremely helpful. If you have questions about how to more efficiently get rid of your product or find other markets for it, or prices for it, well, they're always open to people reaching out to them. with Questions about how do I get rid of my stuff? Where do I get the right price for this? Can I further refine these things like compost into a more fine material? And there's a better market for that. Is this realistic? And they're fantastic about giving advice, evaluating your program. Other thing I got is actually a grant. I wanted to very briefly mention the FRIG grant. That stands for Food Recovery Infrastructure Grant, and it is for 501c3 compliant nonprofit businesses that are food recovery. So you're looking at food banks, you're looking at church type services that'll give out food. It has to be nonprofit. I've seen backpack programs, I've seen all sorts of stuff, but if your municipality has any of these, it's worth pointing out to them when a new round starts up. We're not currently anticipating a round this coming year, but it's never a guarantee. They might still announce something. This last round we had, just in South Central, we had 30 applications and the maximum grant award is $50,000. And it allows them to get equipment for the storing, transporting. Forgive me, it feels like a Monday.
It's okay.
You're storing, transporting, and cooking of fresh wholesome foods. So you're looking at stoves, you're looking at refrigerators, you're looking at carts. I've seen lift gates for trucks so that they can more easily get things from the people giving them food. But not all of them know about this program, and there's funding for it. So we'll always send announcements out to the counties and municipalities in this grant moving fund. But it's a good thing to spread to your organization, if there is funding and you don't all know about it.
Yeah, and just if I could I just wanted to accent that my municipalities do a phenomenal job of finding those places that they need to send this information to, because we've had a lot of applications in York County. I know that they're sharing this for us, and that's wonderful, because otherwise it could be very difficult for us to figure out where in the county the need is. So we're really relying on you all to spread the word for that particular grant. It's
Right.
unique. I mean, the other grants are more for counties, municipalities. This is for actual nonprofit entities within your municipality, but it helps your community a lot.
It really does.
Yeah.
And I think York had 7 applications this last round 3.
Yeah,
Grant awards have not been announced yet. I can't say how many have been approved. It is a competitive grant. But we do anticipate most applications will be funded. So it's my favorite grant. I like talking about FRIG. It does cool things for cool programs. It helps a lot of people, especially when we're looking at food prices. So.
but
Always
again,
have
not
that.
open right at this point. We don't really know when the next
We
round will
don't,
be.
unfortunately. There might be one this next year, there might not. Haven't really gotten much word from the grant center about it at this point. And the last round is closed, but they're working on getting. In the process. It's in the process. They're working on the grant agreements. And review at the moment, so there should be an announcement at some point, hopefully in the next month or 2. Well,
Great.
I did want to touch on the recycling technical assistance. If, you know, I heard there was a lot about going to the 80s, you know, and doing the source separated. If you're interested in that, recycling technical assistance, you kind of figure out what's feasible for your municipalities, like aluminum is quite valuable. So if you want to set up like a drop-off bin and you want to know if people are actually going to use it, or if that's just something you can even entertain at your municipality, recycling technical assistance grant, just to get started and see if it's even worth pursuing financially.
I love it that recycling's been around long enough that now that we can say like the retro version of recycling, right? You know, we'll support our source separation from the 1980s.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm Evelyn Dyer from DEP's central office. I am a municipal grants coordinator, specifically the 902 and 904 grants. So I can talk on that a little bit, but how many are familiar with the 902 grant? A little bit? Okay, cool. So, the 902 grant, it's the long name for that is Act 101, section 902, recycling program development and implementation grant. It reimburses counties and municipalities up to 90% of eligible recycling program development and implementation expenses. This is like your equipment for recycling, bins and recycling bins. It goes into composting programs. Basically, projects eligible for grant funding are those that divert recyclable materials from the municipal solid waste bucket, basically. And that's your clear glass, colored glass, aluminum, steel bimetallic cans, high-grade office paper, newsprint, corrugated paper, plastics, and other grades of paper. That is straight from that. But it's also for source separated food waste, which is something that we really want to prioritize, is just taking fresh, wholesome food that can feed people, and diverting that from the waste stream. Fresh, wholesome food, not the wrong stuff, you know what I mean? But, and also leaving yard waste. So that's if you have your curbside programs, if you have a drop-off program, if you're mulching it yourself, other things like that. And I know what a big question is, like, when is round 63? So right now we're projecting winter of 2026. We don't have many details at this time, but hopefully we'll see some things coming out soon. And that'll go out to Mindy. And then Mindy will spread the word, the golden word, but it should be pretty, it'll be nice to see the round come out. As for round 62, the previous round, we were able to fund all 126 eligible projects. Those were announced in November of 2024, and the maximum award was $200,000. I can say tentatively, it's the next round may be something similar in that range, with a maximum award of 200,000, but nothing's official yet. So that's the full tidbit. But so we did award 125 of the 126. That's just because one of the applicants denied their award. They didn't want to continue with the project. So everyone was fundable, which was pretty cool. And now we have the 125 grantees. They're working on the grant project, or they've already completed their projects. Some are submitting for reimbursement now. 27 of the grant projects are completed and have closed out their grants, which is really cool because, for one, you finish your project, congratulations. But also any leftover funds that you weren't able to use or didn't want to use, those, when you close out your grant, we can put that money back into the recycling fund, so we can award, we have more money to award in possibly a next round. So it's important that you're completing your projects, but also no worries. like do what you can with the time that you have. In round 62, 49 of the grantees were from the South Central region, and 8 of those were from York County. Of those from the region, so the 49, 11 are completed, and 10 have submitted a DR or a progress report. As for York County, I know we've received 3 disbursement requests. 2 of them are paid, and 1 of them is currently in the process. So with that, grantees do have 2 years minus 1 day from the date their grant was executed. So in this past round, all of the grants were executed in like January, March, February of 2025. So 2 years minus 1 day from when you received your email from the grant center that says, congratulations, here's your grant agreement and here's your disbursement request pack. As for that, if needed, grantees can also request a one-time 3-month extension. So if you can't get it all done within that 2 years minus a day, you can have 3 more months. Just make sure you're talking to Mindy and Jess, and you can get that kind of sorted. Yeah, that's all I have for the 902s. Are there any questions in particular about that? All right, so 904s, my other forte. right now there is a 904 grant application open. It's for all of the recycling that was done in the calendar year 2024. So you should have already submitted your annual reports to Mindy, which is perfect because you need to do that in order to be eligible for the 904 program. So for the calendar year 2024, those applications are due by December 31st, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Please do not wait that long. It's not, the sooner you get it in, the higher you are in the queue for the review once we start the 2024 review process. So get them in early. Also, some applicants have noted that there's a little bit of a lag in the system because everybody's applying at the same time, you know, on December 30th. So if the sooner you get it in, the less likely you'll have any issues with the website. If you do have any issues, there's a contact listed on that website. It's the Keystone Grants System. There's a contact on there. You can contact me. Please don't contact me at 11:50 on the day of. I will not be awake. I will not be available. But yeah, if you have any questions during that review process, please feel free to reach out to Mindy or myself. All of the forms are on our recycling financial assistance webpage. That includes the tonnage summary forms and the new ones, which are in Excel. So it adds everything up for you if you want to use that. If not, the old forms are available. So you can just plug in the numbers and handwrite it. I know you folks still do that. I like the Excel form because it adds it for you, so I don't have to do more math than I have to. But that's now available. As for the 2023 applications, those are currently under review with the Grant Center and the Bureau of Waste Management staff. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions you may have about the 2023s. If you haven't been paid yet, just please know that we're still in the review process. And due to just the high volume of grants that we do have, we can't exactly provide a time frame for payment. You can, by all means, reach out, make sure that we have the application. I'm very certain they'll do, but if you hadn't applied, absolutely don't. But yeah, just the high volume, we can't exactly give a time frame at this point, but the Grant Center will send you a confirmation email and include the final projected award once it's submitted for payment. So once it's in that process, once you receive your email from the Grant Center, it's going to be about 4 to 6 weeks before you see it in your bank. And if there's any issues during the review of your application, we're going to reach out to you. We want to work with you, get what we need, and we're very flexible on that. But again, we will be in touch. To date, about 280 applications have been submitted for payment, and that totals to about $6.2 million, which is, and a little over $500,000 actually has gone out to York County municipalities thus far. And about 70% of York County has been, that apply have been awarded. So the others are still in review. So keep up the good work. I mean, like half of that, like $500,000 towards York County alone. Pretty cool. But are there any questions in particular about the Municipal program?
Evelyn, did I miss, did you say what those funds can be used for the 904?
No, thank you, Mindy.
Yeah, sure.
They can be used for anything.
Yeah.
So 904 funds, absolutely. It's up to your discretion. We don't have any requirements. I know some folks put it back into their general fund and they use it to fund some other programs that they have. Others may put it back into recycling. I mean, I encourage it, but you can do whatever you want. And we don't track. Once we pay it to you, it's basically just a reimbursement.
Yeah. And comparatively speaking, the 902 grant compared to the 904 grant, how much, not work, but like the length of the grant, the in-depth, the detail that gets put forth. I mean, when I hear grant, sometimes I go, ooh, you know, like people get scared of the word grant, but 904 grant is not that difficult. It's not that much work.
It's not difficult. It's not that much work. There's a total of like 3 forms you may need to fill out. You're just gonna tell us the basic information, your contact information, you're gonna give us your banking info. And then the tonnage forms, if you've done your annual report, you have all the data, you have everything. And it's pretty straightforward. We included instructions on the first page of the form this time, so if you do have any questions, by all means, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to walk you through it. I'll sit there on the phone with you, we can have like a little Teams meeting, it'll be okay, it's really not hard. It's really just a series of columns and you tell us how much and from where it was from.
Yeah.
So especially if you're doing callers, you may only have like a couple of lines that you need to fill out.
Yeah.
But you log in, fill out your information, which you'll all know, or if you don't know your financial information, ask your financial person,
Yeah.
who can pay you. And ultimately, just get your application in, just submit what you can.
Yeah.
Because when we go through and review it, if we're missing something, we're gonna reach out to you. We want you to get this money and we wanna work with you. So please just submit what you can. If we find any issues, we'll contact you and we're not gonna penalize you for a problem with that.
Yeah. Amber, I hope you don't mind me calling you, like, I hope you're not too shy for me to say that, like, this was your first year doing this application. And, we got together, as I've done probably with, many of you, and we sat down and did it probably within an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she's a large township, Dover Township has a lot of businesses but because we got together, I think it was summerish when we did it, like, the annual report was fresh in her mind. All that data was right there. It's really just plug it in, like this is what we had in our annual report. It goes right into the DEP forms and boom, done, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So do not be intimidated by the word grant.
It really is just a rebate. It's like, tell us what you recycled.
Yeah.
Cool, here's your money.
Yes, right. We want to give you money for that.
Yeah.
Here it is. Yeah. Good stuff. Any questions for Evelyn, Jess? Yeah.
Just one question on the technical assistance, is that available annually or
It's open all the time.
is it all the time?
Yeah, and it's one page. It's a one-page
It's the
application.
easiest application you'll ever have.
Yeah,
Is it easier than the 904?
I'd say so.
It's the one page application. You're sending it into John Nance, you can actually with SCS engineers, and they start the project. They've got. I don't think they're super booked up right now either, but if you even wanna entertain the idea, let me know. I'll connect you with John Nance and he'll tell you if your ideas help people.
Yeah.
It covers a lot of things.
And is this the grant that, like, say you do apply and you're not eligible, it's probably because somebody did this study before, or maybe I'm confused with 904.
It's also not a grant.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not a grant.
Yeah.
It's open all year round,
Mhm.
7,500 in consulting fees for SKS engineers. They'll provide a report of whatever they evaluate in the township. And they
Yeah.
like getting these, and John loves moving things to go through, so. Literally, if you have something that might work in this, let me know,
Yeah.
we'll find out. We'll get you connected.
Thanks.
But if it was done before, then he can forward to you all of the information from whatever municipality had gotten.
If it's a
Yeah.
very similar question, the work has already been done, the answer might already be on the DEP website.
Yeah.
There's dozens to hundreds of already completed reports just on the recycling technical assistance stage. Some of them are really interesting. I've personally seen several of them coming through like Dauphin County. Just for, I've seen a lot for compost evaluations, but they're all across the board. So many different projects.
Sometimes there's even ordinances,
Sometimes
like your
it's
recycling ordinance. Especially if you're non-mandated and you're just trying to figure something out. Cause in order to apply for the 902, if you're non-mandated, you do have to meet some additional requirements. But that's something to help you.
Yeah. Great. That's a great information. Yeah. Is there anything else that you all wanted to share or ask or? No?
I'll share. Most of what I do is not of any interest to the municipality. I work on the county level. Honestly, I just like to get out of the office. So I love Indiana people. So I deal with the solid waste management plans, a 10-year plan. So I sit and I read hundreds and hundreds of pages. So human contact is important to me. So it's mostly what I do. But I do want to mention that we do have I administer the 901 grants and we do have a new one. Now, they're only available to counties, but it's just something good for everybody to know it's out there. It's our household battery management education grant. We can't do everything we want to do for batteries. A lot of that's been legislation and out of our control. But what we are providing is additional funds for battery management, so you don't have to use all of your HHW education grant on batteries. So mostly it'll be for the county, but I just want to let you know that it's out there and we are trying to do what we can with batteries, with the limited funds we have and all of the just restrictions that we work with. And we have materials on the CROP website where counties don't even have to develop their own materials. It's already created. Really neat stuff, just very effective. The things that you would never know could cause a fire. And with fires happening all over the place, this is just becoming a really big issue. Like the greeting cards that sing to you, and like electric toothbrushes, vape pens, just kind of like reminder, don't put this in your trash.
Or recycling.
Or
Right.
else, like,
Right,
Oh,
exactly,
absolutely.
yes.
Yeah.
So they,
Yeah.
for proper disposal, or recycling. But we are doing what we can. The materials just became available, so I'm encouraging all the counties to apply. Just want to let you know that we are trying to do what we can because it's becoming a bigger issue, but yet a lot of it's legislation and out of our control, so just a
Thank
date.
Yeah, thank you, Janet, for saying that. And it is something that York County is looking at. You did do some billboards about battery recycling. And we're considering other messaging and what else we might want to do in our county. If you have feedback for me from any of the municipalities about what you would like to see, that, messaging be or haulers, reach out to me. But yeah, we are definitely looking at taking advantage of that.
The truck wraps, we've seen, like SWAMA is actually the one who developed the materials. They've done truck wraps, they've done billboards, just all kinds of things. So it's, if anything you can think of, we'll consider it because there's new, and also language access. It will,
Yes.
cover translation to make sure that the message is put out to everyone and that everyone understands this. So,
Thank
That's
you.
pretty much all I have.
Janet, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe some of the county generated education for battery management, in particular, I think this is another Lebanon. They distribute the education to municipalities, and that can count as one of the 2 types of education they have to provide for students.
Yeah.
I believe.
oh, that didn't even, I don't do,
Amy from Lebanon mentioned this to me. Because
Okay.
She does distribute stuff to her municipalities, and they're able to take that as one of their education items, because you have to write to them.
that's a connection I did not make.
Specific to like the, when you, go to show us that you have the HHW program, or if you have education for that, that goes towards that portion of your education. No, that's okay.
I knew it was possible, just.
Yeah, because we do want to see that you have that HHW program as like part of your ordinances.
Yeah.
In our 21 requirements. But we do still want to see like education, especially for the programs you're submitting for. So if you're submitting for leaf and yard waste, to that program, we want to see that you're educating the residents at least 2 times a year. So biannually, 6 months. But specific to the programs you're applying for. And the 902 doesn't cover like HHW. Yeah, so, right. No, it's okay. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. There are a lot of
Education, that is important. Yeah,
Yes.
we do want to see that in your
Yeah.
application.
Yeah, 902 applications that, there are a lot of education elements to that. That's not, they want to see, look at your whole program, really, to make sure that you're doing what you can to get information out to residents.
And we love it. We love seeing it, especially if you feel like a really good resource, we might even reach out to you and be like, hey, this looks really nice. Do you mind if we provide it to other folks who are thinking about doing something similar?
Sure.
That is something.
Yeah, and I love that. Why reinvent the wheel? If they, if there are good resources that people are willing to share. Yeah, good stuff. Okay. Folks that are with us remotely, do you have any questions for our DEP folks? And again, you feel free to unmute or you can put your questions in the chat. Okay, all right. And that goes for our next section as well. We're gonna move on soon and talk to our haulers, so please feel free to put your question in the chat or unmute if you have any questions. Okay. So thank you all again for our folks from the DEP for being here and for letting us.
Thank you for inviting me,
Oh,
because I just love to get out.
Anytime, that's great. Oh, and another thing, if we, when the 902 opens, for any applicants in York County that are applying, I always post your mandatory pre-application meeting here. So I will be here with you, and you'll probably see Evelyn and maybe Jess and whomever, comes from the 902s. But you'll be coming into this room for that meeting as well. Okay. All right. I think all this has been covered. Wonderful. All right, so just to try to put everything together in a timeline, because we have the annual report and the 904 report kind of overlapping at different times throughout the year, and it can get really confusing. You're like, Mindy, what, I already did this report. Why are you bothering me about this grant? I'm like, because the grant's different than the report. They're not the same thing. It can be confusing. So here we are in November, and we are distributing the annual report forms. I didn't update this, did I? It should say 2025. I'm so sorry. I tried to update all my slides, but I forgot this one. So I'm going to be distributing the forms for the year that we're still in for the annual report. In December, you're going to take those forms, make them your own, do whatever you want to do to them, send them out to all of your businesses and haulers, again, for the year that we are still in. Then in December, though, at the same time, we are working on the 904 grant, some of us that, haven't been able to submit it yet, for the prior year. So it says 2023 up there, but I mean 2024. So if you haven't gotten your 904 grant in, please reach out to me. I do want to take some time off during the holidays. So I don't know when yet, but I will not be available for a certain amount of time in December. So please reach out to me. I'm happy to go visit you. I like to get out of the office as well. And we can get your 904 grant, cross off your list, and shoo, you're moving on to the next thing. January through February, you're going to be hearing back from your haulers, from your businesses, and gathering all that recycling data. And January through March, you'll also be hearing from me with your statewide data. Again, you're gonna, keep compiling all of that. February 15th, if you have all of your data, you're going to submit your recycling report to me. And if you have not received all of your statewide data, you will have till later in the process, about a week after you receive your last statewide data report. In May-ish, sometimes June-ish, is when that 904 grant will open for that previous year. So for 2025, we're gonna do the report in early 2026. Then it'll be a couple of months, maybe May, June, until you hear from the DEP that the grant is open for the data that was done in 2025, but you'll be in 2026. That will stay open all the way to December 31st. You have usually a good 6 months to do it. Please don't wait. Do it while the information is fresh in your mind. Reach out to me. I will come and, we'll work it out together, but try not to wait until the last minute. Okay. Any questions on the timeline? No? Okay. Right. Moving on to some of our hauler relationships and some of our best practices for putting out bids, for getting the contracts in order, for selecting services that are going to, or service requests that are going to produce the best bids, the greatest number of bids. I've worked with the haulers over the years. Some of you folks, you're new to me, I'm new to you, but like Aaron and Andy, we've worked together over the years to try to come up with a best practices document for municipalities. So they have an idea of what haulers are looking for in the bidding process and what can make this go smoothly for you. I can't say that this is universal for all haulers. It may not be. So disclaimer right away, if you see something in here, haulers, that, doesn't quite fit what you're looking for, speak up, that's fine. It's a working document. Usually we tweak it, once a year and put different information in here. But this goes out to all municipalities whenever they are about a year out from their contract expiring. So that's, you'll hear from me at that time as well. And that's another reason for my nosy questions that are on the annual report. I really want to know when your contracts are expiring and when I can be available to help you with your bidding process if you need. All right, start your bidding process early. Haulers, do you want to say, I'm going to engage you as well. Do you want to say anything about why it's important to start your bidding process early?
Sure, because in today's world, if you have to buy new trucks for a contract, they don't come in very quick. You're looking at 12 to 18 months for a new truck. So if there's a contract, let's say it's, 5 day a week and you need to get 4 or 5 trucks, what haulers then have to do is oftentimes will put rental pricing, because we have to rent trucks till the new trucks come in, which can make the pricing go up. So if you have a larger contract, especially, and you wait till a month before it's supposed to start to do your bid, it's gonna be really challenging to, number one, get any competitive bids other than from your existing hauler. And then if you do, the pricing is probably gonna be pretty high. So it really comes down to that, getting trucks and then also people. There's definitely a shortage of CDL drivers in this country, and it's not just for waste haulers, it's across the board. We see it on the news every night. This school district doesn't have enough school bus drivers. Just drive your kids to school. So it's impacting everything. And I know when I talk to a lot of my municipalities, they can feel the pain too, because they can't find snowplow drivers or people to work in their public works department because there's just a shortage of CDL drivers. So by giving extra time, it allows haulers to hire people and get the trucks that they're gonna need for that contract.
Anybody want to add anything there? Okay, is there any time that's too early to start your process?
Not really. I mean, I guess if you try to do it 2 or 3 years too early, that would be it, because we don't know what the cost of trucks is gonna be 2 years from now. But, when you're looking at 6 to 12 months, that's probably, especially for larger contracts, that's the good pocket. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So if somebody starts reaching out to their haulers, say a year ahead of time, I mean, maybe they're not ready, they don't have all of their bid specs on the table yet or anything. I mean, are there conversations at all or meetings or anything that happens like about, even before bid specs are out there? Is that okay? Or I'm like, how does that work?
I'll talk again because I tend to do that too much. And, my job is, I'm manager of municipal sales. So all I do is municipal bidding. We have people here that are operations managers, supervisors, division managers. So their sole job isn't to go out and talk to municipalities, it's to make sure they have the people that can go pick up the trash and recycling. But I do that. Like, I go out and talk to not just my municipalities, but I'll talk to other municipalities about, here's the things that's going on in the industry that haulers are looking for in bid specs, to try to give you an idea so that you're not using the same bid spec you've used for the last 20 years and just changing the date. Because when you do that, that's when you tend to not get a lot of competitive bids. So, Sapphire, you're a perfect example. Last year at this meeting, we had just rejected a bid because you didn't get many bids. You made the changes, put some things in for carts and some automation. We opted to still walk away from it because we had so many injuries in there and you can't automate enough of that. So that was where my company's stance was. But it allowed another company, Goods, to come in who hadn't bid on the previous 3, but then did, and they won, and they've implemented carts in part of that city and some automated trucks, but they were willing to do the manual portion. But by making some of those changes, it got you some more bids. So it wasn't from me. That was my company's choice, but it afforded you the opportunity. So
Yeah.
That's me sometimes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
It's hard because we're from York County. We don't like change. It's the reality.
I know, you're
And the
right.
residents don't like change.
Yeah.
No, and that's, they're trying to avoid that pain, right, of
Yeah.
creating a change for all folks that want to call them. Pick up the phone and say, yeah.
Oh, I know all about it.
I know.
My cart won't fit in my garage with my car. I don't wanna use it.
I play drums.
You put wheels on my dress, yeah.
I play drums at my church, and so when I'm sitting there and I see a visitor come in, I see whose seat they're gonna sit in. And I wait for the regular member to show up, and they get so uncomfortable because they have to sit in a different pew that they almost leave. And
Right.
so that's my message to municipalities. If they've always had Penn Waste, they've always had a green card, and now Republic's gonna give you a blue, that can almost set people off.
It does.
The blue, right? So it's trying to get municipalities to understand there's gonna be a little pushback early, whether it's going from bags to carts or just a different color, or my auto pay goes to you now it's gonna have to go to goods. This is ridiculous. I have to do this. So those frustrations can come, but if you want competitive bids, you gotta allow some change.
Yeah.
Like what day of the week service is on. Like if it only can be on this date, like it has to be on Thursday. We're not even gonna talk about it. That's gonna be hard for some haulers because they don't have capacity on Thursday to tuck in 4 routes.
You're
They'd
not
rather
their
do
only
it on
customer.
Monday, right?
Yeah.
So.
Definitely chime in on that. And we our recycling day, it used to be, and it's been like that since everyone said, since recycling started.
Ever.
It's always in the beginning of the week, and we changed it to the last day. We have service twice a week. So you get to put out your trash and your yard waste in the beginning of the week. So if you're Monday, Tuesday, and then your Thursday, Friday is trash and recycling. Needless to say, I'm working on a flyer to put out because we are now almost, at the end of the year, and we started this change in May.
Oh my.
And they still,
Like,
and they will
like
call and
6
report the
months.
miscollections and say, you didn't pick up my recycling, and I'm like, it's not your recycling. So,
I think they're recycling yard waste.
yeah, and so they
Right,
will
right.
scream and yell and holler, and we've had people go to council meetings and throw a fit and say, that is just not gonna work for me.
Hey, it's Good's fault.
Yeah.
Company is.
Like, I was good that the city was willing to make a change, because we fought for years to get that done, and we were always shot down every time, because we didn't want change. But it helps a hauler come in bid and be a little more balanced.
I'm all for change, let's
Yes.
change it.
Yes, right.
Well, that's something else I want to give to municipalities. We're playing this in Lancaster, because I'm more familiar with Lancaster and New York, but do not do opt-out contracts.
Mm,
We're fighting with a couple now. You're gonna get high prices.
yeah.
If we have to drive down the whole street and pick up 2 houses.
Yeah.
And then 3 other haulers go down that same street, A, you're wearing your streets out.
Oh, 100%.
And B, our price is gonna be higher because our cost to drive down the street is X.
Yes,
If I gotta pick up 1 house or 2 houses, the 2 houses are gonna pay that entire price.
yes.
And even those contracts where you're not allowed to have another hauler, it's either you or nobody, but they could still opt out.
Yeah.
Like that becomes
Yeah.
challenging, because as haulers, when we're going down the road, if somebody doesn't put trash out, sometimes we'll take pictures, so we have record that they put out. But if it's one of those municipalities where people don't have to have the service, we're not really gonna take pictures, because we'd be stopping a lot to try to look at a route you go, oh, they don't have service here, I don't need to take a picture, so.
Yeah,
More and more people jump on not paying and just put it out and try to
right,
police the trash and do you have service or not service? I mean,
right.
ask a CDL driver, they're
Oh my
just taking
goodness.
what's out and then.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to operate the truck safely and make
Yeah.
sure everybody, doesn't get hurt. And then you gotta be checking to see if A, B, or C has, service or not. It's, yeah. Well, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. 'Cause I have slides for some of this information, but it's all good because, I'm good that we're still on the same page. So, all right. So, make sure our bid packet forms and language are up to date. Andy, I think you touched on that. If you're using the same bid package from 20 years ago, it probably does not have elements in it that are serving you well. And it may have legal forms in it that, if you do not have the proper legal form, a hauling company may say, I can't bid on this because the form is not right, right? There's a particular form,
The non-collusion.
non-collusion, Yeah.
The other thing is put the info in there that the hauler's gonna need. How many tons of trash a year, how many tons of recycling, how many customers are part of this service? We were just all at a pre-bid meeting 2 weeks ago in Cumberland County, and this is one of the contracts I service. And I noticed the bid specs didn't tell you how many homes, how many tons they had. So I luckily came prepared with that and was able to provide it to the other haulers at the pre-bid meeting, but that's stuff that the municipality should be able to put in the bid specs, because you can't bid on a contract if you don't know what you're actually bidding. So all that data is very important.
And with that, Lancaster County's bad about this. They do a lot of good things, but they put in there, like we were at one yesterday, 1,150 homes, but don't take our word, you need to go count them.
No.
But it's an opt-out contract, so how do I know who's in, who's out, or how many homes? That could be a 2-unit apartment in that house. There's no way for the hauler to know. So we're gonna bid high.
Mhm.
And make sure you get in the contract written what you want. If you want trash service at the township building, make sure it's in there. Don't come back after the fact and say, well, we forgot.
That doesn't work well in contracting. Oops, I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, You can add on, but you're gonna pay more for it because we got you this time.
Yeah, right. That all makes sense. And believe me, we had this conversation last year, maybe even the year before, Andy, about doing a bid spec template in York County. I'm doing it. I really am. But there are so many elements, and then it's got to be reviewed by our legal, advisors here and whatnot. And then someday it'll get into the hands of you all, and you can choose to use it or not. But basically, what I'm saying is like in Lancaster, they have a lot of municipalities use the same bid spec format, so that the haulers will know exactly where the different elements of the bid fall in that document. I'm trying to create that for York County, but it is a beast.
It is challenging, right? Because we
It
have,
is.
like Lancaster has uniform bid specs, and then they change the service levels,
Sure,
cars
yeah.
or whatever.
There's always gonna
But-
be
but
things that
the-
have to be filled out.
Right, but the
Yeah,
core of it's the same on every
Yeah.
municipality.
yeah.
In York County, everyone's different. Like I could do
Everyone's-
Lewisberry Borough has 150 homes, they have an 85-page bid document,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Or I could
Yes.
do Manchester Township and bid on that, and that's only 20 pages, and that's a humongous municipality. So it's just, it's very challenging. And often in those bid specs, if you miss one thing, you could get your bid rejected. And so there's a sentence that says you must write in your cover letter that you're American Disability Association compliant.
Right.
And if you miss that one line, don't write it in there, you could get your bid rejected. So, ultimately that, I don't know how that benefits the municipality,
Yeah.
but, just trying, so that's good if you can get to that. I mean, they're like New Jersey,
Yeah.
the whole state has a uniform bid spec.
Right.
So it's something we can get there. But again, it's York County. We don't like change.
It's your county, but Lancaster is right there. No, I participate with like the professional recyclers PA, a lot of different forums and network with people. And when I found out that they had a bid spec template, might have even been through you, I don't know. Like I was like, oh, I've got to get a hold of that and I got to see what it is. And a lot of it would work for your county, but I also want to use all of your bid specs to put in the elements that I feel like York County would look for, and so it's not a completely foreign thing. So I've been reading the 85-page plus,
Right, yeah.
bid specs of all of our 72 municipalities that will give them to me so I can try to find out what elements are most common. So it's in the works. Maybe by next year at this time, I'll be like, here it is. So, but in any case, I still can help with your bid specs because I have been familiarizing myself with, I might be able to tell you, well, that element isn't real common and that might be something that gets you won't get a whole lot of bids because, you're being a real stickler about this particular area that, not many municipalities are. So,
Now, that being said,
Yes.
York County municipalities have been making a lot of changes to their bid specs over the
Yeah.
last 3 years. So, let's talk about Penn Township up by Hanover, who was a pay-as-you-throw bag forever.
forever.
And they went to a cart option, and last time they got one bid from their current owner. This time I think they got 4 or 5 bids. And now they're gonna have carts. So by making some of those changes,
Yeah.
it's helping to get more competitive bidding on your contract. So it's also been great for pricing. You know, when I took this role 9 years ago, almost every contract was you bid a price and that's the price for the whole term. You get no increase at all. Well, there's an increase of cost of doing business every year in our business. And so what we had pushed for a lot of years and the other haulers did too, is just let us bid our price for each year. And that way we can get an incremental increase. And I would say 95% of the municipalities in York County have now switched to that format,
Yeah.
which has also helped.
Yeah,
So-
I've been doing this job now for 7 years. And I would say when I first started, at least 50%, maybe more, had the same price for every contract year. Now it's very few and far between. A lot of folks have been listening to that need of the haulers to allow them to quote pricing for each contract year. And I think that's a preference across the board, not just for public. So, it's one of those things that, if you allow for that, may end up getting you better bids or more bids. Requesting contract term length of at least 3 years. Now, it seems like even longer. What's your
I think-
feedback on that?
Lancaster's doing a lot of 5 years.
5-year contracts. Aaron, are you seeing that as well? Yeah, so 5-year with 2 extensions?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think in
So we can
Pennsylvania,
update.
the max you can do is a 5-year initial term.
Mhm.
And then you can do up to 5 1-years, but
Mhm.
whatever reason, traditionally it was 3 plus 2.
Yeah,
The reason we and probably other haulers have asked for 5 is because when you're buying trucks that are $400,000 a piece, if you have a little more time to depreciate those over the life of a contract,
sure.
it helps get the bid competitive.
Just the carts.
And the carts too.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need that commitment of, 5 years to be able to make that investment.
I think when pricing was being held for the whole term, haulers were okay with 3 because it wasn't a huge risk.
Yeah,
And they probably didn't want 5-year because a lot can change in 5 years' time.
Sure.
But with the annual price increase language, it allows you to bid a 5-year contract.
so those first 2 kind of go together in some ways. Yeah, makes sense. Set moderate requirements for bonds and insurance. I can't say I see this too commonly, but again, in comparing the bid specs of 72 different municipalities, there are some that have really high insurance requirements. Some maybe I would say you might want to bump that up. This is probably your 20-year, 20-year-old contract. But I mean, how can that affect for your companies if your bonds or insurance are too high? Or maybe they don't because you're pretty big companies. I don't know. Do you have any feedback on that, guys?
What gets us oftentimes is that sometimes the performance bond won't say that it can only go up to the amount of the bond. It leaves a lot of extra risk in there. And so bonding companies can sometimes get a little bit shy of that.
Okay.
Me, I've never had anybody pull a bond on me, and I haven't seen it on any other hauler in this county. So to me, it's not a huge risk, but bonding companies are putting money on the line. So I've had to go back to municipal and say, you say here's 100% of the thing, but then there's other language that says, however, we could go
Yeah,
pull it for even more if we feel like we need to.
yeah,
So it's some of that, but just be open to when we come with legal talk, let your solicitor look at it and have open communication.
sure, absolutely. Okay. Consider allowing haulers to pass along unexpected costs. So this is not something that, is like a guarantee necessarily, but there are different types of costs that you could allow for your hauling company to pass through to the municipality in order to maybe keep that bid a little bit lower, so they're not trying to anticipate the risk. Do you all wanna touch on that, explain kind of how that might work or what circumstances?
I mean, sorry, I keep talking.
No, you're good. Good information.
I've been in this role for a while.
On the outer
In this county, right? So, I mean, before the waste authority didn't used to do a price increase every year. It was every 5 years, and it'd oftentimes be a much bigger one. But in the last 5 to 7 years, I think it's just an annual increase. So it's a little easier for us to build that into our thing. But there just has to be some understanding that if we need to pass through a disposal increase, because maybe your annual all of a sudden is a 10% because something broke in the burner and you have to replace a ridiculously expensive thing and you're putting through, that's when we have to be able to come and say, it was above and beyond what the normal price increase has been from the incinerator. we need to push a little bit more through, and it's based on how many tons. And we can give you a breakdown per home, what that would look like, so. The other thing is recycling, and this happened after China soared in 2017, when China stopped taking all the recycling. Haulers went from dropping off recycling at a recycling center and you're getting paid $10 a ton to paying $110 a ton. But at that time, we had to eat that. We couldn't go to our municipalities and say, we need a little bit of recovery for this. And so that's why then we saw about a 5-year swing where you saw all these contract resets where pricing was going up 50 to 80% on rebids. That's leveled off because we have more recycling centers opening up in this country, mills that are accepting different types of plastic. So it's not as volatile as it was, but that's why we were asking for that too, because that was unexpected and it flipped the industry upside down.
Sure.
So.
Same with fuel costs.
Yeah.
I mean, after COVID, fuel went through the roof. Well, nobody can predict that. So I know Lancaster started putting that language in their contracts that
Yes.
we bid a 1-year price and then there's CPI and fuel and road miles that determine prices for the other years based on what everything goes up nationwide.
And that is some fancy math.
Yes.
And let me tell you, looking at, that is the hardest part for me to figure out in those bid specs is all the algebra that goes into that.
Right, and they took it one further, they switched their CPI to a water sewer trash CPI because it's more in line with this industry.
Yeah.
But Mike brought up a good point, he said the word COVID, when COVID happened, haulers also ate a lot there because the volumes at the curb went up by 20% overnight because people were not at work, they were working from home or they just weren't working.
And shopping.
Yeah, but we couldn't
Right.
go on this side and say, all of a sudden, we're paying 20% more for disposal, and by the way, it takes an extra trip each day, because we have to go to the incinerator to dump and go back to finish route. And so haulers were eating all that extra expense. And again, that was part of the contract resets, the 5 years after COVID.
Right. So do you think as a result of COVID, more contracts have passed through clauses? Like, have you worked with municipalities? Is that something that kind of has evolved and increased or?
It's really about the disposal increase, and some of them have put in for recycling,
Yeah,
but not the crazy force majeure type things that we're talking about, right?
Right.
So.
nobody could have seen any of that coming.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. Yeah, sure. And to limit your residential service options. So, and then this is a change that I've seen in York County. When I first started, as a recycling coordinator, I mean, some municipalities have like 5 options for their residents. And so Erin, like, can you touch on like what kind of clerical nightmare that is?
It is, because you have all kinds of different options and you have service changes and the facilitating of that and just trying to keep all that kind of stuff together. On our end is difficult and it can become frustrating to the resident if things don't go to plan. So limiting those options, if maybe like 2 options is a great idea, as things flow a lot smoother.
Sure. And now the options might be a large tote or a smaller tote, as opposed to, well, this guy, does he get 4 cans or 8 cans? Like, again, your hauler, like the folks on the street are not gonna be able to keep track of that, so.
And we talked
Yeah.
about the pay as you throw, the Penn Township thing, but there's other municipalities that had low volume options where you get 12 or 18 tags a year.
Yeah.
We've been encouraging municipalities to get away from that and let us provide a 35-gallon cart instead.
Yeah.
It gives a lower price option and it's a smaller cart. And so we did this in North Cadorus Township last year. They got rid of their 18 bags a year and went to a 35-gallon cart. Prior contract, we had about 90 homes that were using that low volume bag because they could do 18 bags there is enough. Once we introduced the 35-gallon, all of a sudden we had about almost 300 homes that are now low volume because a 35-gallon cart once a week is enough for them, but 18 tags a year wasn't.
Right.
And so it does give a better option for way more people, so.
Yeah. And I still understand, like folks from the DEP, like why we want to know about pay-as-you-throw options, but I mean, the overall, what I hear from municipalities, what I hear from residents, what I hear from haulers is that the convenience factor just isn't there with that, it's too hard to keep track of. And that I think the way of the future is really these different sized carts, and hopefully we're still encouraging folks to have a nice big recycling toter and recycle as much as possible. But the pay as you throw is just something that really is dwindling.
And
Yeah.
when we used to do Penn Township, when we used to do Carlisle Borough with their pay as you throw, what we saw was much higher contamination rates in the recycling bins because once your trash was filled, instead of going to buy another bag, you just knock it underneath the recycling, and the driver's not gonna get it. And so,
Right? Yeah.
so by getting away from that, you see better, cleaner recycling.
Yeah.
Now, Act 101's, the grants aren't about how clean is your recycling, it's about how many tons do you recycle. So I get that, but by going to carts for recycling, especially in the time period we live in, with Amazon and Chewy and HelloFresh and all the big boxes people. When you take a box cutter and slice up, you can fit a lot in one of those 65-gallon carts.
Sure.
So what we see is people recycle more, whereas if they had a 14-gallon bin, once that gets full, unless you're an environmentalist, you're probably not holding on to it for the next week, you're just gonna put it in your trash can. So the carts help with the recycling volumes as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay.
The other thing with carts, there's been language in some contracts that say if recycling is rejected, the hauler eats the fee for it.
Mhm.
You can't really do that because we're going to carts. We can't see what's in a 65-gallon cart,
Mhm. Mhm.
let alone an 18-gallon bin. When you're dumping them and going, no one has time to sit there and sort through and say, oh, there's styrofoam in here. Oh, there's this.
So Mike, how common is that for the recycling, for a large amount of recycling to be rejected because of contamination?
Knock on wood, Lancaster, no one really watches it, but the language is in the contract that says if it's contaminated, the hauler, like over there, municipalities pay the recycling fee.
Yeah.
But if it's caught that it's contaminated, then the hauler eats it. Well,
Yeah.
I can understand if a hauler's mixing trash with recycling.
Right.
But,
If the hauler did.
but if it's boxes with styrofoam,
Yeah.
nobody has time to sit there at the curb and say,
Right.
yay, nay.
Right. Right. So maybe that's an example of a small thing that could be in a bid spec that would make a hauler go, no, I don't really want to deal with that. So you gotta think about those things.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys get, because you get recycling, so.
I'm not sure, but I know the contamination factor like definitely is a thing, and we
Yeah.
can't go through and, see down into the bottom of the bin or look through that cardboard box and see if it has something that's gonna contaminate.
Especially with automated, I mean, automation is the way everyone's going.
Yeah. So Erin, not to put you on the spot, but obviously Penway says the MRF, the materials recovery recycling facility, as well as being a hauler. So how common would it be for a load of like residential recycling to come in and be rejected because of
So I know,
contamination?
I know it happens, I don't know exactly how often that happens, that is something that I can ask our coordinator over there, or our director over there. What he's seeing, a percentage or some kind of guidance on how much gets rejected.
I'd have to think because of the pace of things,
Yeah,
that it wouldn't happen all that often, but
I mean,
Yeah.
it definitely happens across the country, because
Yeah.
Republic's nationwide, so I talked to my counterparts in other parts of the country, and they're like, oh, no, we get loads rejected, we're charging contamination fees to individual residents.
Wow.
We don't do that here in this part of the country at this point, but that doesn't mean it couldn't get here at some
Sure.
point. It's just right now, the MRFs aren't really rejecting loads and finding us for contamination.
Right,
I
but
know.
if that becomes more common, then that's something that.
I know there is
people have to address.
technology that's getting added to trucks that can scan the cart has been dumped, and it can take a video and it can show the contamination. And so we do that in some places in Texas, and that just bills that individual resident for a contamination fee and shows them a video so that they can get educated and stop putting that stuff in there. Because most people aren't purposely trying to
No,
put bad stuff in.
everything's recycled.
They're just doing their, the wishful recycling.
No,
Sure.
I mean, the amount of times I go over with my daughter, like, no, pizza box, no, don't
Yeah.
it's ridiculous, I think.
Right, and it's also just, it's always changing what is and isn't acceptable, so it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard too for residents that, let's say they move from Lancaster over to York, well, in Lancaster, you're allowed to recycle 4 things.
Right.
But in York, we recycle way more things, so it
Yeah.
gets confusing for residents too, You move anywhere from any other part, you move from Pittsburgh, well, out there, you're not allowed to put glass in your recycling.
Mhm.
They have special glass events,
Yeah,
and then they come here and like, no, you put glass in, no, you can't, it's not recyclable. Well, it
Yeah.
is here, so it is confusing
sure.
because it's just different everywhere you go across the country.
Absolutely. Your recycling is so local. It's so local, you know, what is accepted and what's marketable. So, yeah. Okay, along the allowing the hauler to determine the servicing routes and schedules, and I think we had touched on that earlier, very important, right? Like, if you are going to try to bid on a large municipality that says, gotta be Thursday, and 50% of your business is already on Thursday, how's that gonna work, right? It's painful to the Sapphire, it's so painful to have to tell them that it could be a different day, but maybe the pain is worth it so that you're not getting those calls about the high price.
Yeah.
Right? You have to weigh your options.
And there are even municipalities that say it has to be on this day, and it means the hauler has to have 2 trucks for trash and 2 trucks for recycling just to do it all in one day. Whereas if we could divide it over 2 days, now we only need 1 for trash and 1 for recycling, so the investment is much lower,
Sure,
which helps to control cost. So,
Yeah.
But again, York County, we don't like change,
your county,
but
we're making baby steps, we're making some changes, that was a big step there, not a baby step, so.
Also looking at the double collections, like,
Mhm.
you know, we're going with toters and everything.
Yeah,
I can speak the second collection, the percentage that actually uses it versus the one that just puts the can out because he has 1 bag in the 96 gallon.
yeah.
I mean, you'd save money there doing 1 collection the week
Yeah,
versus double collection.
and even before the carts, they're putting 6
Yeah.
bags out Monday, on Thursday, they're putting 1 out.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and I get where you're coming from, but that can be a tough sell for municipalities that have you know, issues with like not wanting to have vermin or whatever, you know what I mean, because people are stockpiling so much garbage or whatever, you know, like again, you know, you have to kind of weigh your risks.
But-
Yeah,
I think I can, so I know with us, the problem fell into, we have a lot of these once upon a time, single family homes that they're
Mm,
are turning into a 3 or 4, you know, bedroom, like they're
Yeah,
changing
yeah.
and turning them into apartments. Or you see a lot of the rent a room, so the accumulation of trash of what used to be a single family home
Mhm.
has now turned into quadruple the amount of trash, that we are allowing at once used to be and it's frustrating. I think, I have came to a conclusion, like, we all need to work together, because we are supposed to work for the greater good of the residents, at the city. So I am fighting a fight of change within how we do things all together and timing, kind of allowing me to talk about what happens when you allow that change, because it affects me and it affects how much people are actually paying. We've just had to raise our prices because of how much we're paying for trash, and not wanting change at all. I fought for toters, I fought for, hey, maybe we could go for once a week. I mean, I was shut down every which way until I finally was like, listen, no one's gonna bid on this. So either you're gonna need to change or we're not gonna have trash service.
Yeah,
So you have to accept that. And I think having people open up just their mind just a tad and explaining to them, and I think sometimes you need to show them the bigger picture of it all. And that's what I'm working with now, in the city.
And there's no denying, York City is probably the most challenging contract in York
It's
County.
hard.
It is the most challenging contract in York County. But there are other ones that are right along Northborough, West Yorkboro, that similar setup. They've both gotten away from twice a week and gone to once a week in the last 2 years. Spring Grove Borough went from twice a week to once a week. New Freedom Borough went from twice a week to once a week. And so there has been some push within the county that, okay, we can do this and we can survive. Again, but you're talking about some properties that it might not be a 4-unit building, but there's 15 people living in 1 unit.
Yes.
And that's where you really get the amount of trash.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I'm fighting the fight. It is hard,
Mhm.
in the city itself. I had a good response for the toters. I wish that we kind of knew a little bit more about the toters and kind of had the option of 2 different sizes. Because some people just don't have that much trash. But I think after this, I'm kind of learning and going. I've only been in this role a little over a year now. So I'm open
And right
and
here.
I'm like a sponge. I'm soaking up all the information I possibly can, just to see positive change and things that, educational wise. I've been at events, I've been downtown, I've been, go green. I've been trying to just give people as much information as I possibly can, even if it's in pictures.
Yeah,
This is sometimes pictures work, words,
Yeah.
they just don't like to read, so, I've been trying, it's been hard, but I've been trying my best and just trying to absorb everything that I can and any recommendations or, when it comes to contract or just in real life with our haulers and things that they experience. I'm outside a lot. I'll come to the scene, like, I'm not gonna sit behind, my desk all day, and I like to see things in real life so then I can share that information with the mayor, share that with the council and show them, take the pictures and say like, this is what we're dealing with in real life. You guys don't get to see that every day. I do, I deal with it every day. So I think too, just getting people to understand where I'm coming from in the trash industry in itself.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
There you go. Yeah.
And you took over from a long-time dedicated employee who had done it forever.
Yeah.
York County person who doesn't like change. And fought it for a lot of years, and you got in there right when it was time for a rebid, and so I'm sure it's been challenging, but all the things you did are gonna help you in the long run, because down the road, there'll probably be more bids as you make more of those types of changes, so.
Okay, so requesting only one recycling and waste collection per week. Yeah, right, we just discussed it. Utilizing the waste carting totes to allow for automated collection options. This certainly isn't new news anymore, that haulers really are looking to automate. But what are some of the safety reasons or reasons in general why that makes sense? Whoever wants to address that.
Well, just regular injuries, right, to your employees on the back of the truck.
Yeah, what kind of injuries do you see most often, North?
Typically, it's either back strain, shoulder pulls, twisted ankles, things like that, getting on and off the truck. And it's a lot, not just to mention that, but it's also when you throw something in the truck, when you're back there, you never know what people put in there.
Yes.
We've had a couple of trucks that had explosions in it, and when we find out, this guy's stuff.
We put an oxygen tank, we have propane
Right.
tank.
And it's like,
Right.
wow, why would you do that? I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has common sense, but not common everyone.
And motors getting run over.
Yes.
From distracted drivers and people not paying attention. So the more automated we can get down to one person and limit our work comp exposure is huge.
I tell my people, we're the biggest inconvenience to the public unless we're out front of their house collecting their trash,
Ah, oh, I haven't heard that said before.
Yeah,
That
That's the
makes
truth.
impression.
We're slow down, they're late for work, it's our problem. Like, as I
Mhm.
said, it's just reckless driving and,
Yeah,
we've all seen our helpers. We reported accidents that our helpers have been hit and,
Not to mention all the
or not
close
be
calls.
hit, but yeah, all the close calls.
terrible, yeah, close calls,
Yeah, so getting that person out of the line of traffic and
Yeah,
is huge.
Distracted driving is a big problem, and, I have videos I could share, but I didn't bring those, but,
yeah,
of close calls where a car slams into the back of the truck a second after the guy had jumped off the step, like that's how close we've been many times to incidents. But there is also a benefit to the residents of the municipality. Number one, it's gonna clean up the municipality, because instead of having loose bags, and it seems like we have way more windy days now than we've ever had. Like, if you have a cart out there, it's contained, there's not trash blown all over the place.
Mhm.
If you got loose bags, number one, they're gonna blow, number two, the squirrels or other animals are gonna dig through them.
Mhm.
So it cleans up the municipality as well. And then it's also great because the haulers provide the carts. So if that cart for some reason would get stolen, or let's say it's a windy day and after we dumped it, a tractor trailer comes by, blows in the road and it gets pulverized by another tractor trailer, the haulers provide it. Like the residents don't have to go to Home Depot and buy a $95 trash can.
Sure.
So it helps with that because we're managing the cart inventory, we're keeping it uniform because it helps us keep our people safe to have the carts. So that's one of the things that we make sure we do is we have inventory to replace them if they get broken or stolen.
And are you seeing more options, I'll continue in a second, are you seeing more options to automate in tighter streets and communities? Is it working out for y'all that, in the areas that you've been able to do that?
It's mixed. Like we started to do it in West York, And we moved them from the front of their street to the alleyways.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still a little tight and then the residents were frustrated, so we pushed it back out front. We're still running rear loads there, but we're using carts. So the benefit there is now we hook the cart up, pull a lever and it dumps it in and we're not lifting the bag. So, last year before we did carts, we had several injuries in Westbrook Borough. We tore a bicep muscle, tore a rotator cuff, like sliced the leg as they were grabbing a bag and some glass. So now we didn't have any this year because the carts, we hook them up, pull a lever and it dumps it in.
Stuck
So,
with needles.
Yeah.
Everything.
Oh.
yeah, you grab a bag and there's a needle. It doesn't matter if you have a leather glove, it's probably gonna go right through it. So,
It's just.
and now you got to go through the HIV testing, you gotta go through the hepatitis vaccines.
Rabies shot, all
Yeah,
that.
so it's lots of things people just don't think about because they trash it out when they leave and it's gone when they come home.
Yeah.
They don't realize.
Automation will never be 100% in York County. I mean, you have these boroughs, North York, Red Line, they still went to the carts because it's neater, it's cleaner,
Yeah,
it's just way better presentable on trash day.
sure, and even
Doesn't
if
look
you.
like a third world country going down through North York
Mhm.
on trash day.
Yeah, and even if you can partially automate some
Yeah,
of these
oh, seriously,
communities,
whatever we can
that
automate, we
makes
will.
sense, right? Even if you can't do it 100%, just to allow the hauler to decide where it's safe and practical to do it.
Because that's been big arguments from residents. Oh, you told me I had to get this car because they're gonna automate it. I still see the guy on the back of the truck.
Wow.
Well, in some areas just.
It
it's
just, you just
infeasible.
can't,
Yep.
yeah. Sorry, Chelsea, you're gonna ask something.
I was just gonna comment on the safety aspect of it, because twice in the last 2 weeks in the township I live in and the township I work in, like. It is just like windy hills, corners, like that's all it's full of. And like twice I seen someone in the township that I work in, like flying up over a hill and like jam on the brakes for the trash truck. And then in my township I live in, which is a neighboring township, they were getting it across the street and someone was jumping off the truck. And thank God the driver beeped, so the guy on the back knew like there was someone there, but like they're flying up over this hill. And like if the driver of the truck wasn't paying attention, like that person probably would have been hit, literally.
Mhm.
So I feel like the safety of it is
Yeah,
huge, compared to,
yeah.
how, especially even just going to the carts, like
Mhm.
that is a huge help.
Mhm.
But
Sure.
yeah, like just in the last 2 weeks, I've seen 2 close calls where I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And like, the road is 35 miles an hour and everyone does 70.
Mhm.
Because they live there and they know where they're going, but they fly over a corner, turn, whatever.
Yeah.
And the trash truck driver's there and.
And we're not probably gonna be able to prevent people, they're still gonna hit trash trucks because they're in such a dying hurry.
Yeah,
And
but at
if
least
we
not
don't have a
person.
person
Yeah.
that's working on the back of the truck,
Yeah.
we're at least saving a life there,
Yeah.
so, yeah. Yeah. Okay, scheduling large item pickup. This has become like very popular, I think, in York County from what I'm seeing. And it makes sense to me. Do you all want to talk about why it makes sense to do scheduling of large item pickup?
Well, if you're doing automated, obviously you can't pick the large item up with the automated truck. So townships that have it once a week, you're either running late in the day because you're letting your drivers tell you where to go.
Mhm.
So if they schedule it, we can send another truck out to just go to those addresses and get off the road,
Right.
rather than running the entire route the third time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be like an Easter egg hunt. That's what I would call it. Hey, go to that township and drive every road and search for any bulk items. And then there were times where there was a bike leaned up against the trash cart and we throw it away because we think, well, that's, and they go, then my kid just sat there. So now you gotta buy me a bike. So that's also part of the pre-scheduling to make sure we're not throwing away something we shouldn't. We did it at a Noble Home Park. A lady took her walker and walked out, set it right by her trash can, got in her car, and she would leave it there because it was also by her mailbox. It was a driver, he thought it was a bulk item, threw it away. She got home, her walker wasn't there, so we bought her a new walker.
Oh.
Especially the amount of donation places that are like, hey, I wanted that couch to be donated. I told you to pick up a hot water heater.
Right, yeah.
Well, they took the couch because it's all large item.
So that's part of it
Makes
too.
sense, yeah.
It's because we don't want to get, it's, all these things start to cost us money and then that goes into the pricing. So it matters, but mostly for productivity, because then we can send a driver into your township and he has a list of 20 addresses he needs to go to. They can be in and out in an hour as opposed to driving every room, just searching, hoping they see it. So.
So are the communities that are using the scheduled pickup of large items, are they calling you? Or are they calling them?
So we have them calling, or most of it calling us. There are some municipalities who choose to handle the customer service. And they would call their municipality, who then like would have a live log or something with us and we schedule it. Like, most of them give us a call. We put in, work order for it, that gets to our driver and everything, and so they know what they're picking up and everything. And then when there's that record there, if there does happen to be an issue. I know one of our latest issues was a beanbag chair, and it was like falling apart, and we couldn't grab it because it was gonna be everywhere. So we had that work order and everything in place, and then when our customer calls in and says, "How did you get my beanbag chair?" Well, it's gonna need a little more preparation to be collected because.
Yeah, duct tape.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but, yeah, it's good to have that record there too, just in case there's something.
And when they call in and say, I'm gonna put out a glass patio table. Our customer service rep said, okay, make sure you put some cardboard and wrap it in tape as well, so we don't have potential of that glass shattering when we're picking it up. Or I'm putting out a mattress, okay, put it in a mattress bag. Because guess what? People throw mattresses away that are infested with bed bugs or have bodily fluids all over them.
Yeah.
If you moved ever and you've moved a mattress up the steps, you don't just like hold it like this, no, you're hugging it. And so to expect a person to go and grab this mattress that's stained and has bed bugs in the corner isn't really fair to that person. So that's why we say, go to Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, they sell them for $2, $3. And you just wrap it in the bag, tape it, and then we pick it up and it's much easier, so.
Same with things like carpet, like preparing it properly.
Yeah.
And don't put the couch out on a rainy day.
It's gonna get real heavy, right? Yeah. Were you gonna say something about that too, Deb?
Just the mattress.
Yeah.
They called me up and said, they're not taking it. I said, well, did you wrap it? No.
Did you call them? Did you call?
Did you call them? Yeah.
They don't know, yeah,
I
they
never had to
don't
do that,
know that
Dave.
you have something to pick up. If
Yeah.
they don't go by your house every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it was if we do the billing, you call us. If the municipality did the billing, you call them. But a lot of my municipalities have said, no, they can start calling you for missed pickups, for scheduling bulk. Because, some municipalities don't have a lot of people working in the office to be able to handle calls, so.
Sure.
But I think it used to be well, we would need to make sure you're not having a lot of missed pick, but, most haulers give reports now on how many missed pickups you have, things like that, so it's very transparent, so. For us to take the calls for scheduling bulk or missed pickups, we have the people to do that. Then it gets it out of your hands as a municipality, so.
Or Sapphire. What else can they do, right? Did you do?
So we handle all of our miscollections and large items. So we ended up making postcards and sending out, we send out newsletters for a spring, summer and a fall, winter newsletter. We started to use QR codes so that they can go online and it'll take you straight there, or we just provide them. You just go to your city and go to where trash is, and you just click on it and you just enter it online. So now you can call in or you can go online, and then they have 24 to 48 hours to call you back. And 24 hours to get the miscollections. Two different people one handles the large item, one handles the miscollections. If there's an issue between any of the two, then I handle the call. And I handle it, and then I speak with Norris, and we get together and figure out the best solution. to
Sure.
handle it.
Nice job, because that probably wouldn't happen before either, so.
Making changes over there. So making
Yeah, and
changes.
we're trying to add it to our online portal, our apps, but the challenge with bulk is it's different everywhere too. We talk about recycling, it's different across the country. So those of us that are nationwide, like the way you do bulk in Boston is completely different than here. Like up there, they have a mattress law that mattresses have to be recycled at a specific
Right.
mattress place.
Yeah.
So the haulers are not allowed to take them by law. So it's hard for nationwide haulers to come up with an app that is precise on bulk because it's so different everywhere. So.
Oh, sure.
So that's common, but the phone call always works, so.
All right, well, we sort of touched on the extra bag services or the pay as you throw services. But a lot of municipalities still have extra bag, like you can't fit everything in the tote or whatever. So it was recommended using a standard size bag for extra bag services rather than sending people somewhere to buy them. Am I right about that? Yeah. So, I mean, it just makes sense. Like, it's a whole hassle for you to have to sell them, for you to have to sell them, whatever, for the people to go get them. If you just say 42 gallon, you know, can be your extra bag size, buy it wherever you want, right?
And it's okay to have somebody buy an extra bag when there's a cart, because then we just get out, throw it in the cart and then redump it. But the majority of people,
And
that
if-
cart is plenty.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to touch base with on cart, if you're going to the cart route, mandated be in a cart. It's not that the drivers are lazy and don't want to get out of the truck, but you know, automation increases versus manual load. You know, manual load, that guy's doing 700, 800 homes.
Yeah.
We expect our automation to do 12, 1400 homes, right? Less manpower, but the more they're getting out of the trucks, you know, think about 8 times when you're one street times your entire township.
Mhm.
Just mandated.
Yeah.
It needs to be in the cart. It's not, you know, like the residents think, oh, he's just lazy and doesn't want to work. And no, there's a purpose behind it. You know, there's only so much time during the day.
Yeah, so trying to buffer that change.
Yeah,
by not
because some
mandating
contracts
it
come
is
in,
not
it's options, right? Some
Yeah.
contracts are like, oh yeah, it's mandated cart, but you're allowed to have 2 extra bags on. Like, oh, now it defeats the purpose of automation.
Yeah, and so to that point, North Good Horse went away from the 30, basically 30 bags for the low one, went to 35 gallon cart, but they used to be cart plus 2 bags.
Yeah,
And we drove around and with the municipality and said, well, look, we just went past 100 homes, nobody had extra bags out. So why don't we say this, put a price in for an extra cart,
Mhm.
and for those families
Lunch
that
break.
generate more trash,
Yeah,
they can
right.
pay for an extra cart.
yeah,
Rather than the whole municipality paying for us to go, well, we need to be prepared in case they're putting out extra bags every week, so.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do have a question. So with that, is there any, like, you can only put 6 bags of trash out. When you offer that option, is it just whatever you can fit in your toter?
Technically,
Yeah.
a 96 gallon toter would put 6 household bags.
And you wanna mandate, make sure it's bagged, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
We've ran into situations
Yeah.
where they've gone and gotten a toter and they're like, hey,
Yeah, it's diapers and everything.
there's nothing bagged in here, everything is loose, and I'm just like,
And then the automated truck's not a huge deal, but then there's stuff sticking in the bottom of that can, and then the residents calling you saying, hey, you take all this trash, and
Yeah.
it's still stuck at the bottom. Well,
that's,
if it's not.
Or the windy day when it's upside down and the gust of wind times it, it's everything.
okay.
But yeah, mandating the cart if you're gonna go that route.
But this all goes back to me as the shortage of CDL drivers, because if you can do this job where not only you dealing with gross stuff all day, but at the end of the day, when you get back to the yard, you have to climb behind the blade and scoop out any gunk that got there, because you gotta keep it from getting compacted back there. Or you can go drive at a distribution center and never have to touch anything gross, so.
Dump truck driver.
So that's why we
Yeah.
try to get rid of some of these. You know, we've always done it this way, but we gotta get rid of some of these roadblocks so that people wanna do this job, like,
Mhm.
when you're picking up all this stuff by hand and. Like it's not a desirable job,
Sure,
so.
yeah. makes
During
sense.
interviews, we tore the incinerator, make sure they can withstand the smell.
Do you really?
Sometimes, yeah.
Wow.
And we
We've had
They
people,
made me do, I was given tours of
We've had
the
people-
incinerator, they didn't make me do that.
we've had people literally make it 2 days on the job and like, I can't stand the smell. The dump truck driver. The whole thing.
We send them out for a half a day as part of the interview process en route so they can see what it's really like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it's not just gross, it's stressful when you're picking up 1,000 homes. And guess what? It's May 20th and school's just let out. And now there's kids all over the neighborhood. Like it's a stressful
They love
thing.
trash
You
trucks.
gotta keep your eyes moving at all times. Yeah, it's not an easy job. I've never driven, but these guys have.
You're doing it when it's 110 degrees.
Yeah.
And you're doing it when it's 0
0
degrees.
degrees, yeah, that's
So-
right. Yeah.
But the guy, you can hire somebody to sit in the cab and run that joystick,
Mhm.
a lot easier to find people.
Yeah.
And how much are
Snow,
you picking
rain,
up
wind, all of
on
that.
average? 12 tons, let's say, on the route? Is that about average?
12 to 20.
You know, say 18 to 20 for,
On the whole day,
Yeah.
not on, yeah. So if you take that, let's say we go on the low end, 12 tons, that's 24,000 pounds. If I told you you had to go to the gym every day and do bicep curls until you finish 24,000 pounds, you'd be like, well, I'm not doing it. But that's what we expect a helper to do when it's 100 degrees and 100% humidity.
Yeah,
or 0
36
degrees
and-
and freezing rain.
Right, yeah.
yeah, right.
And so when you start to put that in perspective, and I've done this at council meetings in front of residents who don't like the carts, and I give that, they go, oh, I never thought of it like that. And they quickly start to understand why haulers want to put carts and do automation, because it's about the people. So.
Makes sense. Okay, and the last thing I have down there is moderate penalty amounts, and this is something I also noticed by going through all of these bid specs is that penalties are all over the place. It could be $50 to $5,000 for doing any certain thing wrong or against the contract. So does that make you shy away from anything in a contract if you see really high penalties? Yeah, I mean.
Oh, for sure. I mean, to me, the penalties are for if you're telling us we're missing all this stuff and you call us and then we never come back. And this is a continual thing, then you can start pulling that type of language. But if there's like 5 missed pickups, you're like, well, we're gonna fine you 500 for each of those.
Yeah,
Like, well, you told us we missed them, we're gonna go recover it. That's
Right.
where you can get a little bit.
good point.
Because sometimes it
Yeah,
doesn't say,
give
it
me the
doesn't
whole
give you
company, yeah,
24-hour,
recover,
yeah, it doesn't give
right.
you, there's no wording for recovery time.
Yeah,
It's just, we're gonna find you if you have missed pickups.
yeah.
And so we often ask, well, have you find your current hauler? Like,
Mhm.
no, we haven't. Okay, then we're probably not at risk, but
Sure.
you guys can speak.
I'll put this out, I mean, we won't shy away from it tonight, it'll obviously change our price that we're gonna bid.
Mm,
But one thing that I got really frustrated with, and it was in Lancaster County, was when Eagle was bought out. And I know it's not nothing to do with Penway, even though you guys are sisters, and they weren't picking up people, township refused to pull the PID bond. Why? They let your township sit for 2 or 3 weeks. That's why we get bid bonds.
mm,
Pull them.
mhm.
Don't penalize the rest of us the next time the contract is bid and saying we're gonna do all this stuff. No. Take care of the hauler that you have now.
Mm.
If they're screwing you, pull that bid bond. That's what it's there for, and go hire somebody to do the job.
Mhm.
You know, that's what got frustrating. If we screw up and it's our fault, I have no problem with the pound.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you gave us the opportunity to correct it and we didn't correct it, that's on us.
Right. But having that option to correct it. is
Yeah.
Very important.
But just because you put a penalty in the contract that if there's repeat misses, we're gonna fine you, that doesn't deter us from bidding it.
Yeah, because you're not going into it saying, I intend.
Yeah, no one here is gonna say we're gonna bid.
Understood, yeah. All right, so requiring waste and recycling collections by ordinance. I think we touched on this earlier. So it makes sense, like if your community, says, well, we want to have a contract, but we're not really gonna make everybody use it. How is your waste and recycling hauling company gonna bid that? You wanna comment at all on that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we've seen in those municipalities where they have that, there's not been a lot of activity on the bids because there's risk. You don't know, you're gonna bid, because currently with their current hauler, there's 1,200 homes that get service. But you bid a little bit higher and you happen to be a low bidder, and now there's residents go, well, I'll just burn it, or I'll just take it to my job and throw it in a dumpster.
Sure.
And so you built your model on 1,200 homes,
Mhm.
and now all of a sudden, 300 homes decide they're not gonna have service anymore, and so you're not covered.
Or still get, quit their service and still put out trash on the curb
Right,
every
right.
quarter. Yeah, I start my service this quarter, and then suspend it. And now I'm gonna start taking it to my job, right? That's my excuse. And guess what? They still do, put it out on the curb and here's eating the cost. It's,
Makes sense. It's a lot of.
everyone produces trash, so everyone should just pay for it.
And
It's still the lowest utility bill that you pay.
People should not be allowed to take it to them.
Right,
Because as us haulers, we're going to a place of business and saying, we're gonna pick up this trash, it should weigh this much. But if half your residents are bringing more trash, that's not in that contract.
that's not, you're right. Somebody should be, paying attention to that too, but of course. Who knows?
And the majority of municipalities in York County, it is
Mhm.
mandatory for everybody. It tends to be the more rural ones where there's farmers that have burn barrels or their own dumpsters and things like that, but it still can become challenging.
Yeah, I did have one municipality try to go to contract this recently for the first time, but they weren't ready to push the button with the mandatory ordinance.
And you got one
just-
bid too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it just didn't work out.
Washington, so you're talking about, right?
I'm not calling any names, thanks a lot.
Oh,
Andy.
no, it's okay, because they were trying, because they had residents come and complain that the pricing is so high in open market, because
Right.
again, we're picking up a house here, driving 2 miles till we get to the next one that has us, and so everybody pays more, so their supervisors listened to residents who were complaining about price.
Sure.
And said it's too high, but then they only got one bid, and it was from me, and they go, we were hoping for more bids, it's not enough to. So they stayed open market, but that doesn't mean next time they might not, they at least took the step.
Right.
Right?
And a very important
Yeah.
step, agreed, yeah, so yeah, I'm hoping that, things continue to evolve there, and it's hard, it is hard to, go down that road of mandatory ordinances and, contracts that, you're not gonna do it, once you start to do it, it's probably gonna help, it's gonna be how it remains.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right, and conducting the billing collection through the municipality, if you can, would save you money. How many municipalities do you think still do that, or are you all handling most of the billing?
No, it's kind of a bit of a split. We do encourage it. Just because municipalities seem to have a bit more leverage when it comes to those who don't pay. You guys have, have certain things that you can do that will get somebody say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this paid off. Versus us who, being corporate, and we have the option right now of like going through, oh, you can send it to a collection agency. Well, it doesn't guarantee anything.
No.
So, yeah, and I know some municipalities can't take on the billing, they don't have the staff, they don't have the opportunity for software and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But if you can, may not guarantee a cheaper price, but it's a possibility that it'll lower, your pricing.
But also put language in that allows the haulers to stop service if somebody's not
Yes,
paying the bill.
right,
Because when we stop service, then they're gonna call and say, hey, you gotta pick, well, you're 90 days past due.
Right.
Oh, well, let me pay that, and then we're gonna pick them up. We've had many municipalities say, absolutely not, you cannot cut off service because we don't want trash piling up.
Yeah,
You gotta pick it up no matter what.
I
It's
noticed
really hard
that.
to get people
Yeah.
to pay when we pick it up anyway. And once people figure that out, maybe they already have horrible credit, they don't really care if we send them to the collections agency.
exactly.
yeah.
Cause they're just not gonna pay and get free service, so.
Mhm.
So the municipalities have switched that, we see a much lower volume of delinquent accounts, because as soon as we stop service, they call and pay. Kinda like the water company would shut off their water, they're gonna pay, it's the same type of thing.
And the delinquency rate, I mean, that it stinks because it falls into your price, and then anybody who is paying, like, the cost of people not paying goes to them. So
Yeah,
they're being punished when, they shouldn't be.
Like, cause we're a small hauler, we don't use collection agencies, so we call,
yeah,
if not, we write it off. But our next bid is going to, obviously, we wanna recoup that money,
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Right, and I've had municipalities, will take them to court, it's a $90 invoice that they owe us for, like, it doesn't pay us to go to court.
Nope, time,
Right, so.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Wow, a lot of great information shared. Any questions? Folks hanging out there remotely that are still there. Any questions?
In case you can't tell, we would talk trash all day.
I love talking trash.
I have a question for the haulers. Do all of you go to the Penn Waste Murph?
Now,
Or single stream?
some places, we have other places, like my trip go
Well,
out.
for your account.
Yeah,
we go with sometimes, but most of the time we have a transfer station at our landfill, and it goes out to King of Prussia to our own recycling center. We used to take it to the Penn Waste until a battery created a fire, and then they couldn't take it, and that forced us to then come up with another plan, and I was stuck with it, so. Back to batteries, because we didn't even talk about that other than briefly.
Yeah, go for
Like,
it.
we
Batteries.
have to keep continually communicating and educating about batteries, like, they cannot put them in trash recycling, there's free drop-offs at Home Depot and Lowe's, right? As you walk in the door, there's a big bin that says, put your lithium batteries in, they can put it right in there for free. You can go to, was it call to recycle.com, gives other options, so anything you can put on your websites about it, they are not trash and they are not recyclable. But we have fires all the time in our trucks because of these batteries. What's that?
Just pressurized iron,
Yeah.
propane
Yeah.
cylinders and
you know,
everything. Yes, the amount that they pull off the line over at our MRF, it's like crazy, like when they come in and they're going down the same bagger and back.
Yeah, but yeah.
But if we pick up one of those batteries from somebody's rechargeable drill and halfway through the route, it gets compacted to the point where it explodes and catches fire. What our drivers have to do is they gotta go find an open parking lot, dump the load out as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, that whole truck's gonna be gone. Now it's $400,000 for a new truck. It's 12 to 18 months till we get it. But when we dump it in the parking lot, guess who's responsible for the cleanup? The haulers are.
Yeah.
And so we're paying a company to come in and with a front skid loader or whatever, put it in the roll up, then we got to pay a power washing company to come in and clean that parking lot because it's at whatever, LCBC church. And they're not happy because we just dumped a fire load of mess in their parking lot. So all those things are expensive, you know? And so when we do bids, well, we got to look at our overall cost for insurance and things like that. All those types of cleanups go into that expense, which raises rates. So that's why the more we can tell people, do not put those in the trash and recycling, the better.
Yeah.
So.
How about if I send all the municipalities a link to our website, where we educate about batteries and then get lists on places in your county you can take them? Yes.
I went on there and I kind of just put a lot of information. I do have a lot of residents call in and some people just are like, it's too far, or I don't, you know, I don't have a car or anything like that. So I was just wondering if there's anything that like storing areas where we could probably, I don't know, use something that they use like at Lowe's or anything like that. And like a station that where people like more in city, if, are there options?
So, I might actually get, I don't know if Janet can speak to that or not, but, you do have, if you're going to collect batteries, it's considered a hazardous waste, so you have to get permitted through the DEP in order to collect batteries. Because they're fire hazards, they're, you know, so you can do that. But it would require like, you know, maybe York City, you know, dealing, you know, submitting to the DEP their proposal, we wanna do this, we don't wanna have it here at the station. And this is our health and safety plan and, you know, seeing if that could work. Janet, did you wanna speak to that at all?
Yeah, so I'm not too familiar with permitting, but as of right now, unfortunately, DEP, we can only provide you education. I know there's a lot of, there's a bill, right now for like extended producer responsibility with batteries.
Yes.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, it just passed in the House, so now the
It
Senate.
did,
Yes,
it did.
okay. So I mean, we can hope for things like that, but as of right now, so yeah, there would definitely be some permitting, a lot of safety. And, I know some counties, do have, Lebanon, Lancaster, they have dedicated drop-off areas. So I mean, I can check with them and see exactly what they have to do. I can certainly have to try to find out more information. But yeah, as of right now, we want to be able to do a lot more than we can. But even like, the only thing that we can do with this grant, is even as far as collection would be like a little battery bag, so you can give to residents, but they have to have educational material on them. So we're really limited right now, but I can certainly find out from other places who have done that, and I can get back to you on it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
The
Yeah,
problem
we
with-
wish we could do
No,
that.
I will
Lancaster
share
has
all
that.
of your contacts.
Has a battery drop off, but it's for residents only. So then you get your small business guys.
Mhm. Yeah,
The solid waste authority over there tells them they have to go find their own place. Well, so you know what's happened with those batteries. Right in the front load can.
yeah.
It would be nice if Lancaster County would spend more time in getting for the commercial people somewhere to go.
Well, from again, talking to folks across the state, Lancaster County has the largest HHW program and probably the most for, you know, expansive, you know, so, they are kind of the role model right now for hazardous waste management. I get what you're saying, but it's already millions of dollars that they're putting into this program to then expand it for businesses. I don't know that that will happen. In my opinion, like the legislation that we just touched on, this is a whole different
Oh, yeah.
thing, but there is legislation right now sitting, it passed the PA House. It's gonna go to the PA Senate for extended producer responsibility, meaning the people making the batteries have to be responsible for recycling and managing the batteries, and that would be a huge help to the state of Pennsylvania. There's a few handful of states that have already done it. It'll remain to be seen whether this has been up before it died. So, hopefully this time it makes it through.
But similar challenges with electronic waste covered device act, like they were supposed to help with that,
Yeah.
hasn't been that great. So
Yeah.
on that note, I'll give you another tidbit of information for York County municipalities. We have Goodwill stores across York County, Keystone Goodwill.
Mhm.
They take e-waste for free. So
They do.
if you have residents call,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do with this TV? The hauler won't take it because we're not allowed to. They can take it right to Goodwill and drop it off for free. They don't charge you. You do too, but I'm saying if you live in Shrewsbury and you can go to Goodwill there,
Yeah.
rather than drive the whole way
Well,
up
I'd
here,
rather, yes, absolutely.
it's just another option
Yeah.
that is new. I was just at the Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful Summit, 'cause I'm on the board of
Yes.
directors. And Keystone Goodwill was there to talk about this program that they just started last year, and I was like, I gotta tell as many municipalities about that as possible, because it is a challenge still after, I think that bill went into effect 15 years ago, probably.
Yes, yeah, we do have them on our website too, because, we have satellite sites, two different satellite sites and our main site, but, why not? I mean, we have so much electronic waste that, any place that'll take it,
I
yeah.
was gonna say, like, the one in Shrewsbury, like Andy was saying, it's that easy that I sent my teenage daughter to drop off a TV, and she did it with like no help, no phone calls or
Wow.
anything like that. She said there's like signs all along the way, you just gotta put it down, leave, and you don't even have to talk anymore, so.
Wonderful.
I asked them, was like, how can you afford to do this? He said, well, generally, if somebody's gonna bring a TV to drop off, they might also clean out the closet
Mhm.
and bring some clothing too. So it's kind of like a lost leader for them, I guess you
Yeah.
call it.
And the thing that I love too about that program is Goodwill tests a lot of those materials from what I understand. So things that are resellable.
Yeah.
Which is, like recycling is great, don't get me wrong, but like, it's even better if they can just have it reused. So they're putting materials out there to be reused in addition to recycling them, which isn't necessarily an option at the volume that we take in here, and that's, isn't an option for us.
And also, one thing that's kind of depressing actually is Lancaster, they have like the best programs for, they're doing so much with batteries, they still have several fires a week.
Yes.
And so, obviously they have a lot of suppression equipment and everything like that, but everything that they're doing is still somehow not enough. So we understand what a big problem this is, and we're doing everything we can, but when I heard that they were still having several fires a week after everything they do to collect those batteries and all the messaging, I was like, my goodness.
Yeah.
But
Like,
like,
what is it gonna take?
I like that you brought up greeting cards that play the music, because
Yes.
people don't think of that.
No.
There's a little battery in there, and that's
Yes.
enough that if it gets compacted and explodes, it's enough to start a fire inside of that truck or at that recycling center.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be a big DeWalt battery, it can be one of those little.
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And a lot of, that's why I brought up about commercial, because we've had several in front of the trucks, so that's coming from apartment complex, which technically is commercial. So those people aren't gonna take their stuff in the solid waste authority, they got a big container out there. Out it goes.
I'll slide out of mine,
Yeah.
not my problem.
Well, as a follow-up to the meeting, I will link to our battery information on our website, but I will also pass along, I just got this morning from Prop, a request for letters to go, like, if you feel so inclined to send letters to your local senators about the need for passing this bill. So I'll send that along as well. It's very timely. So.
And if anybody's interested in joining Prop, Mindy can help you with that too, because
Yeah,
there's a lot of good information there. They have a conference every year that a lot of solid waste and recycling coordinators from across the state go to. I
yeah.
don't know that a lot of York County people go to that I've seen.
Not so much. I mean, we've had a few over the years and I try to put the information out there as often as I can. We are seeing a lot more municipal membership in Prop than we ever have.
Right.
And I think it's a great network for municipal folks as well as county folks. as well as hauling companies and whoever's involved with the recycling industry. So, all right, well, I'm just gonna go over a couple of resources yet, and then we'll have lunch. So we have event recycling and waste bin loan program here at the authorities. So if you're having an event, or even if it's not municipal hosted or anything, even private events is fine, they can contact us and reserve these to use at their events, so they don't have to store recycling and waste bins, for special events. We do not pay for the service of recycling, that is something that they will have to get through a hauler, but at least they will have signage, messaging, and the containers and the bags available for their events. So all this information is on our website, or they can contact me directly, and I'm happy to work with them. So that's that. That's the information I just went over. We also give a guide about best practices for community recycling. I can help you with your bid packages, ordinances, grants, recycling report, education. Occasionally I'll get some people calling in saying, well, it said on so and so website that I could do this, and it was just really old information that was still on there. I prefer, whenever you can, to link to our website if you're going to share information about the authority, because that way, if it changes, hopefully the link keeps up and the information stays relevant. Yeah, any questions that you may have about what information you put in your newsletters that I could share or whatever, just reach out to me anytime. Disaster debris planning. Yeah, I didn't even introduce Terry today. She's my coworker and we're in the same division. She's wonderful. She helps me out with my meeting because she's very good at IT stuff, but she also is the disaster debris planner for for the authority, and has lots of valuable information there if you want to reach out to her. There's lots of municipal resources on our website. We have a special area now. If you go to across the top of the website and you click on resources, it will say for municipalities. So right there, you'll have all kinds of documents, a list of all the hauler contacts, information that we feel is going to be helpful to you all. It's right there. We have a guide to help businesses in your municipalities recycle better. We have our disposal search tool, which is probably what I'm going to link to for you for the batteries. Folks can go to our website and use the general search, or in the middle of the first page of our website, it says search for anything here. Literally type in any type of material, and it should come up there with ways that you can donate or reuse, recycle, or dispose of that item. I spend a lot of time keeping this up. If you find something, if you type something in there, it doesn't come up, you gotta let me know, because it's either should be a keyword for something else or it should be on that system. Yeah, and you can link to different areas of our website to educate your residents about recycling information, about electronics, about household hazardous waste or yard management. And you can follow us in all these neat, social media areas as well, if you would like, or just sign up for our email updates, or all of it. That's fine. We also have a mentorship program. I know I'm flying, sorry. So if you are a new recycling coordinator and would like to be paired with a more experienced York County recycling coordinator, please let me know. I try to provide as many resources for you as I can, but I don't do your job. So sometimes I don't know exactly what the best practices are, but folks that have been doing it for a while would be able to help you. So I'm happy to pair you up. Just reach out to me. Yeah, and prop. So one last plug for prop. I can't say enough great things about this wonderful group of people. I know some of our DEP folks have gone through prop certification and been at the conference. So we have a year-long train. It's just like 3 sessions, 3 2-day sessions to become certified as a professional recycler. And you can have like this little, letters behind your name if you want. But on top of that, you can have this wonderful network of people that you can ask questions of. There might be, other cities in the state, like York only has 1 city, but you could meet people from other cities across the state that are dealing with the same kind of things that you are. And it's just a wonderful group of people. Their conference goes around to different areas every summer, and we have a great time and we learn lots, and I just would highly recommend it. If you're at all interested in prop and wanna know more, just get in touch with me.
And then indeed, there's also the new composting,
Yeah,
professional.
yes, you're right.
certification
So
as well.
you can get a composting, professional composting certification as
Yes.
well as the regular recycling
So now
certification.
there's two certifications.
Yes, thank you for reminding me of that. Okay. Any other questions? From anyone remote or here? All
Way
right,
over the time limit.
I know. I'm making y'all wait for
We
lunch.
did it for Janet, so she doesn't have to go back to the office.
Thank you. Well, I can't thank you all enough for participating today. Please reach out to me with any other additional questions that you think of. And, while we have our haulers and DEP folks here, you know, feel free to interrupt their lunches and ask them questions as well. Thank you, everybody. We have lunch out here in the lobby area, some cells, restrooms are either on the side of the, reception area or straight down the hall.
Want me to end it?
Yes, yeah.